Welcome to the regularly scheduled public meeting of August 12, 2024 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers in January, and this meeting has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board, electronic message board, WCTV, and on the Township website. Please notify the municipal clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at council meetings. The fire...
Time out, excuse me, I'm not sure if we're up here. If he's recording. I'm sorry.
Start over, Mike.
Technical
No,
difficulties.
I don't see a picture, so I just want to make sure that he's up and running here.
And I even put my glasses on.
There you go. I'll be good. Picture.
For a second, I
I'm
thought you
sorry.
memorized it.
It's all right. It's Zoom's fault.
No, we're not zooming because that's.
I know we're not zooming. That's why it's got the fake flower up there.
Okay, that could be. I just want to make sure he's recording out so nobody gets upset.
It says waiting for the host to start the webinar. It's buffering.
Maybe it's fine. This is the way for the topic goes fine. All right, let's do it. Nobody. I'm not doing Zoom.
Recording in progress.
Okay.
All right. Okay, please notify the municipal clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance in council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors to your right and through the double door on your left. Please silence all cell phones. If you are unable to attend the council meeting in person and would like a topic to be addressed at a council meeting, please send email to the Township of Washington _ contact all council members at once, TWP of Washington.us. Can everyone please stand for a salute to the flag? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Here.
Councilman Sears.
Here.
Councilman Ullman.
Here.
Councilwoman Velez. Council President DeSena.
Here. Let the record reflect also in attendance Mayor Peter Calamari, Township Administrator Mark DiCarlo, Township Attorney Siobhan Bailey, and Township Clerk Witkowski. I got it right, Mr. Pollard. See, after all these years, I got it. Mrs. Bailey,
Yeah, after he leaves, you get it
welcome
right.
to our new attorney. Thank you. Okay, payment of bills. Resolution number 24-293, authorized payment of bills July 8, 2024 to August 7, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I earlier this morning sent some questions to the administrator, and I was just wondering if you had the ability to review them.
Yes.
And were you going to provide a response?
Normally, I respond to your questions at the council meeting. If you'd like me to follow up with a written response, that's fine.
No, however you want to do it.
Did you want me to go down your list of questions?
Sure.
Okay.
You're going to respond to Mr. Ullman's questions, Mr. DiCarlo?
That's what he's requesting me to
Thank
do,
you.
so yes.
That's fine.
Mr. Ullman had a question regarding the payment to Mall Chevrolet for $46,609.70. His question was what type of vehicle. I was under impression the PD was getting a Dodge Chrysler, not a Chevy. Also appears much less than budget plan. If council remembers, when Chief Calamari was presenting during budget meetings, he informed the council that last year we did order Chevy, however, it wasn't going to come in anytime soon. So we changed the purchase order to a Dodge Durango. Mall Chevrolet does sell Dodge Durangos, and it was cheaper in price.
Mr. DiCarlo, just very quickly on that, I have a posted here to talk to you about it. Have we just did some, I know you did your due diligence on making the purchase, but there was an article published that the entire Indiana State Police of Dodge Durangos is now on the sidelines because of engine troubles. So if we just maybe talk to the Chevy dealer and make sure that that's not a problem we're having in Jersey, but there's an order, if you look up Indiana State Police Dodge Durangos, they have like 500 of them sitting in parking lots because the engines are all bad on them. Not meaning that we're gonna get a bad one, but
Yeah. Okay.
after our truck we had for 2 years in shop, I'd rather,
Yeah, no, I hear you. The next question was regarding a payment made to Boswell Engineering for the commuter lot. The question was, what bills are still outstanding on ASB? Commuter lot was last component and has been finished for a few months. This was an engineering fee. There was a proposal that was on the table. I believe it was for $36,000. So these are just bills that are coming in from the engineering service. As far as I'm aware, there's no open bills left for that project that I'm aware of.
Do you know how much is left in that ordinance?
I don't, but I can get you that number. I don't like to throw the numbers out. I have an estimate in my head, but I can get it to you.
It's only because at the budget meetings, we had discussed that there might be some monies left over. And we had asked if we could possibly look at a environmental type control for the building, similar to what Mr. Cumming, Councilman Cumming had proposed. And that was removed from the initial build out. So if there's enough money for that,
I will get you the balance, but just so you know, this was already encumbered funds for this bill, so it wouldn't be taking away from the balance when I told you, say, it 2 months ago.
Okay.
The next question was for the Delage Landon Financial Services. It's the company that provides a water cooler for the police department. The question was, has the township considered a water fountain / bottle filler with water filtration? LK model number is a model used that Mr. Ullman is familiar with and was well received from his place of business. We received 3 water coolers for this price times 3. So essentially there's one for DPW, there's one up in the kitchen for town hall, and then there's one in police with their limited space. They have a little bit of a special one that is placed up on their counter in their kitchen area. So I didn't personally did, but hopefully maybe if the renovations are approved for the police department, we can situate one of those devices in. The price that's included is to maintain the filtration and change the filter every so often. The next question was on Whalen and Ives service call for HVAC maintenance and repairs. Does the township maintain a maintenance contract on these units? We do. We have a Whalen and Ives service contract for the units at the ESB building and the ones here at Town Hall. You'll see that $90 charge. If we didn't have one, I think the fee is $110. So on top of servicing it several times during the year, I think twice, not several, twice during the year, we get a reduced rate for call-out repairs. The advanced electrical contracting was for electrical work at the ESB building. The question was what work was performed. Unfortunately, a storm took down, I always get the name right, but it's one of those little cells on, that indicates to the lights when the sun's out and when it's not, so it turns on the lights. So it was under the threshold for deductible, which is $2,500. So it was on us to make the repair. Unfortunately, the storm took it down. Impact Fire Services, several charges. That was for our maintenance of the system so we could comply with our yearly fire inspection. The question was, what was the work performed? Is this a fire, smoke alarms, and suppression throughout the building? Essentially, yes, but it had to do with our yearly inspection for the fire inspection.
Understood.
The Ambulance Corps, Washington Township, received their third quarter contribution. Mr. Ullman's question, in light of the agenda item, should this be tabled? I say no, only because our contribution was approved by the budget and it really has nothing to do with the shared service. What do I want to call it? Not investigation, but the service.
Yeah, the study.
The study
Yeah.
that we're doing.
So do we have a timeline of when that study might commence or when we're looking to move that out?
It hasn't commenced yet. As you know, it's on the agenda for this evening for approval. I hope Hillsdale is the lead agency. We'll start on it in September. But, 2, 3, 4 months, this is not something we can rush through as a public safety thing, but happy that, we're starting.
Okay, thank you.
The next were charges from main lock, and we charged to library renovations. The question was rationale to charge capital versus current account. As you know, there's no current account for the library. We give their donation, not their donation, their contribution to them. So there's no maintenance lines for them other than the town hall maintenance line, and we use every bit of that. So it was an appropriate charge to use under the library renovations ordinance 20-11. The work that was performed was an emergency exit was converted to an emergency exit and staff entrance only. So it has a life expectancy of well past 3 years, which would be needed for an expense to a capital line.
So they don't maintain any expenses locally?
No, there's no
within the
current line
library?
budgets, no. They do it all through their contribution. Ms. Rifkin has a budget based on the amount that's contributed that she has account lines for. But as you can imagine, every cent is accounted for from what they get.
Okay, I mean, the reason I ask is it just seems, I don't want to say wasteful, but, to capitalize a repair, we're going to be paying for 20 years, assuming this is going to be, recapitalized and bonded. And it just seems a waste to pay for, $1,000 lock for the next 20 years. So, all right. Should we consider giving them a current account line for repairs? So it doesn't all have to be pushed through capital?
I wouldn't be inclined for the few times it happens, but that's a council decision.
Okay.
The next question was essentially probably about 6 questions, I'll just categorize them all as a reimbursement made directly to an employee. The question was, shouldn't the invoice be paid by the township? I was under the impression we were not reimbursing direct employees, i.e. bulk payment to an individual for basketball refs. Reimbursing is an appropriate charge. It most of the time has a benefit to the township that the employee is incurring with their own credit card. A lot of times we can't do business with either a small vendor. Actually, a bigger vendor would be New Jersey DMV. So when we go to register or title a vehicle, they do not accept the purchase order. So an employee, from the graciousness of themselves, pays for it up front and then seeks reimbursement. So all of these that are on here is an appropriate reimbursement. The next question was, why is the township paying for spouse fees? This should be the responsibility of the employee. I do not believe the township should be paying for any expenses related to the spouse. There were several combination of council members, spouse, and employee spouses. The township was going to pay $10 for them to accompany either a council member or the employee down to the Atlantic City League of Municipalities Conference in November. Ultimately, this is a decision that the council will either approve or not. I can tell you that last year the council did approve this expense on the bill list. Last year, it was a combination of council members and employees again, where this $10 was paid by the township for their spouse to accompany them while they attend the conference for 2 or 3 days. The next question was for the difference card, EE monthly fee. I wasn't sure what XYZ.
I didn't get the question in, so.
I can answer if you want to know what it is. If you remember, we have to pay a monthly fee for every member to have the difference card. So again, don't hold me to the numbers, but it's just for example, I think it's like $53 and change per employee times 35.
So that understood. I was going to extend the question about how much use or how many claims have been paid out at this point. We had talked about having an account set up so we could monitor claims against the card.
Yes, I do not know that number off the top of my head, but I can certainly get it.
So, okay, thank you.
And that concludes the questions from Mr. Ullman's, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. DeCarlo. Anything else on payment of bills? Resolution 24-293?
Nope.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez. Council President Sedem.
Yes. PSA for August 12, 2024. PSE&G is replacing existing electric and gas meters with new smart meters throughout the town as required by the BPU. Please be sure to respond to any letters requesting meter replacement. If you do not reply, your service is in jeopardy of being shut off. Please visit our website for further information. Road work began on Calvin Street on Tuesday, August 6, 2024. The contractor will start with curb work and reconstruction of ADA ramps and crosswalks. The road will be accessible during this part of the construction. Police will be on site directing traffic. Milling and paving dates will be determined and residents will be notified when the work starts. The Township of Washington is launching its second round of our Hometown Heroes banner program as a living tribute for our community to honor past and present members of the armed forces. Please visit our website for further information. Residents may now apply for a spot in our new resident-only commuter parking lot at the Emergency Services Building. Please visit our website or contact the clerk's office at 201-664-4425 for further information. Owners of rental properties must complete and file a landlord identity registration form with the township clerk. Please visit our website for further information or call the clerk's office at 201-664-4425. Food trucks and tents for private events must be inspected by our fire prevention official. Please visit the website for the application and to schedule an inspection. White goods, also known as household appliances, curbside pickup requests, can now be made online. Please visit our website for more details. Residents are encouraged to sign up for Nixle to be instantly informed of all community information. You choose the information you want for the addresses you want, all delivered at no cost via text message, email, and/or website. Please visit our website for sign-up information. The Kiwanis Club is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world one child and one community at a time. The Kiwanis Club of the Pascack Valley, formed for the Township and Westwood, meet on the second Wednesday of each month, 6:30 p.m. at the Westwood Community Center. If anyone would like more information, please contact Paul Ralph Cardulli at 516-581-8319 or pascackvalleykiwanis@gmail.com.
Excuse me, Mike.
Yes.
Can we go back to that prior slide? Can we just get confirmation? Because what you updated is different from what's on the slide. Meet on the first and third Thursday, and I think you said the second Tuesday.
It says it meets on the second Wednesday of each month at 6:30. Yes, so
Okay,
something,
Well, that was, okay, we'll double check.
thank you.
Sure.
sorry, I'm being
Sorry.
prompted by my PSA announcement on this purple form, so.
No, I completely understand. It's just,
I am not a robot. I'm just reading what's,
it caught my eye.
again,
Thank you.
Just caught my eye.
thank you. Township offices will be closed Monday, September 2nd in observance of Labor Day. Our next council meeting will be held on Monday, September 9th. Thank you. I would like to make a motion to suspend the order of our meeting and proceed with the presentations. Will somebody
So
second
moved.
that?
Second.
Thank you.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our first presentation will be to Attorney Kent G. Pollard for 42 years of service from the Mayor and Council. Mr. Mayor?
Yeah,
Would you like the microphone?
I would, yes.
Okay.
Look, be careful.
Come on, come have Kathy.
Well, we were gonna get him a set of golf clubs, but we didn't have, we didn't have the money.
Wouldn't fit in the box.
Yeah. Should still be.
Hello.
There you go.
There it
There
is.
you go.
Thank you. I'd like to ask the members of council to also join me down here. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Ken, why don't you come on up?
Maybe Ken's not coming back around too. Come on.
Yeah, we went all out. So Ken, after 42 years, what to say? I'm very speechless at this moment. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed being mayor, for 7 of your 42 years. It was an honor and a privilege to work with you. I'm sure there's a lot of lawsuits and things that you kept the town out of that most of us here aren't even aware of. Goes back that far. But, I'll miss your trusted advice and, our phone calls and like
Excuse me,
that.
Mayor,
Yes.
can we shift you a little bit so you're on TV?
we can
You're like
do
way in
that,
the
I
corner
guess.
there.
Sure, yes.
I'm just noticing that.
Okay.
Everybody wants to see you.
There we go.
So with that being said, can I read you this? Yep. Township of Washington, presented to Kenneth G. Poller, Township Attorney, Department of Law, in appreciation for your 42 years of outstanding service, January 1st, 1982 through July 15th, 2024. Best wishes for your retirement. Thank you. I'm also thrilled that State Senator Shapizi is here with a proclamation for you also. So, Holly, if you wouldn't mind coming up. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Want me to hold it for you? Yeah, okay.
May have to borrow your eyeglasses, so, no.
You got my cheaters are right there. My cheaters are right there. That's all they are is cheaters.
But real briefly, on behalf of the state of New Jersey, as well as a fellow attorney, the only thing more difficult than being in public office is being the attorney for those in public office. And it's a real testament to you for 42 years in one community, a whole myriad of personalities, and doing it because you loved the community. And I am here tonight. I'm really excited at your replacement as well, my former law partner, Siobhan, who will be a great addition. And I won't read all of this, but I just want to say, an illustrious graduate of Rutgers Law School, Kenneth G. Poller has demonstrated an uncommon measure of commitment to his fellow citizens since assuming the enormously consequential role of municipal attorney in 1982, a post that's afforded him the opportunity to share his considerable legal expertise with 4 different administrations and numerous councils. Tasked with preparing multitudes of ordinances, resolutions, opinions, contracts, agreements, memos, Kenneth Poller is deeply appreciated for a body of work that helped define the township, touch the lives of countless individuals living and thriving throughout the Pascack Valley. And it's altogether fitting and right for the members of this legislature to pause in our deliberations to recognize Kenneth Poller as a man of exceptional character, boundless determination. We thank you for your service, and thank you on behalf of myself, Assemblyman Off, and Assemblyman Nassaretti.
Say a few words.
I can't believe today is today. Is this working?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So actually, I lived in Washington Township when I actually became the municipal attorney back in 1982. And I actually was a young man. I was in my mid-30s, which is a long time. But during this time, I've worked for and with a lot of exceptional people over the years. Some are not with us any longer, but they were fabulous people. And the people who are on the dais, it's always a very difficult job. It's somewhat thankless. There's a lot of work that's involved, a lot of responsibility, and it's been an honor and a privilege to serve them for all these years. I also feel good that my replacement is more than adequate to fill my shoes, whatever they are, and she'll do a great job, I'm sure, and I do appreciate tonight's recognition for the service that I've been here for. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Next on our presentation, the 2024 Mayor Wellness Campaign. Mrs. Beckmeyer, I guess Mr. Calamari, Mayor Calamari will assist you in this presentation.
Yes. Thank you again.
Good evening, Mrs. Beckmeyer.
Good evening, everyone. Is this on?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Judy Beckmeyer. I'm also the Director of the Board of Health here in town, and I'm here with my colleague, Jeremy Levy, who's going to be helping just to explain a little bit about what's going on with the Mayor's Wellness Campaign. So I was kind of blindsided because Kate Bishiba, or Bishaha, was supposed to be here. And she is part of the New Jersey Healthcare Quality Institute, who runs the Mayor's Wellness Campaign. We're very, very excited for this initiative to happen. And Mayor Calamari will explain a little bit about how Mayor Sokowitz was the first one to initiate this. And now through upheaval, we're starting again. And we're very, very excited because, it's just not about obesity anymore. When this was first initiated, a lot had to do with health and fitness and nutrition for children and so on. But now I have the honor, and my board has the honor to really infuse a lot of mental health into this. As we know, it's a pressing issue these days. So what we did is, with the proclamation that was given to us, we kind of vamped it and put more about what's best for the community. And my subcommittee came up with goals and objectives about not just wellness, but and physical goals and objectives, but more emotional, social, and how it impacts our community in general. So that's, we're just here to kick it off. Mayor Calamari is here to read the proclamation. We're going to infuse a lot of these goals and objectives and initiatives in Town Day on 10/5, and we're very, very excited about it, and really very excited about it. So that's about it.
Thank you, Mrs. Beckmeyer.
Thank you, Judy. Judy outlined it very well. I just want to say that, as she said, Janet started this under her term as mayor. And when I took over, the one thing she asked me was, could she continue it? Because it was near and dear to her heart. And of course, I said yes to that. But we want to make it now something bigger. Again, as Judy said, it's more of a mental and emotional support system than physical. They're all important, but I think we need to pay more attention to the mental and emotional part of it. And so I couldn't ask for a better team of Judy and Jeremy and all the other people on the Health Advisory Board who will, help to, make sure that this initiative is very successful to the community. So with that said, there's a proclamation that I would like to take a moment to read. Whereas across New Jersey, the conditions in which we live, work, and age in combination with wellness, particularly physical, emotional, and social needs, impact our health. And whereas the New Jersey Healthcare Quality Institute's Mayor's Wellness Campaign, in partnership with the New Jersey League of Municipalities, recognizes that the mayors and other local leaders can be effective champions of community health and wellness. And whereas the goal of the Mayor's Wellness Campaign is to improve the health and wellness of New Jersey communities, and whereas the Mayor's Wellness Campaign provides communities with technical assistance, evidence-based resources, and other support to implement community health and wellness improvement initiatives, and whereas the Township of Washington cares deeply about all of its residents and the future health and wellness of its community members, and whereas the Mayor's Wellness Campaign will work to implement a comprehensive program to create and sustain local activities to improve wellness in the Township of Washington. And now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Calamari, ask that all residents of this community join me in supporting and actively engaging in our local mayor's wellness campaign. And be it further resolved that I encourage the residents of the Township of Washington to participate in the mayor's wellness campaign activities as we work toward living healthier lives together and improving the health and wellness of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else? Done it?
You took the pledge to council.
Yes, I took the pledge. Yep, okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Next on our presentations is DPW building, police department, and ambulance building. Mr. Iovino is here. Mr. Mayor, do you have a full presentation, or are we here just for questions?
No, it's really, to recap all the documents that Anthony has sent since the last council meeting and see if we have any questions for him, because again, I think we can all agree that at least the DPW part, needs to get moving at this point. We've exhausted all the options, different locations, there just aren't any. So, to the extent I'd like to concentrate on that tonight, but, obviously if you have any other questions while he's here, to the extent he's prepared to answer them, I'm sure he will, so.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. So the status of the DPW project.
Mr. Iovino, could you just state your name for the record, please?
Sure, it's Anthony Iovino, I-O-V-I-N-O.
Thank you.
We were initially engaged January of 2023, and we paused on this project in April of 23. So with the restart, we should be able to have the project ready for going out for public bids sometime November, December of this year. That would mean that we go out there, we'll probably span the holidays and get bids back in January. And then that would make this a springtime project to break ground, which is a good time for projects. So you'll be out ahead of school projects and things like that. One of the questions I was asked by the mayor was a discussion of the sequence, right? We know we have three projects somewhat tied together, right? It's to renovate, expand the police department. Council Chambers needs to move, and we've been looking at your request, reviving the ambulance building into Council Chambers. Excuse me. The question was whether or not the DPW and the ambulance building, the question I received was whether they could be bid out together. And my immediate response was it's not prudent to do that. I know I sent a letter dated July 31st, 24, that explained that. Essentially what happens in public bid is a bidder will give a price today for the bid opening, and they can't adjust that price if cost of wood goes up, if the cost of steel goes up, vice versa. If those things come down, you don't see the savings. With the tendency through the pandemic and beyond for prices to continue to go up, bidders will automatically assume increases. So since the ambulance building, I think, couldn't be reconstructed, if you will, the same time as the DPW, since they're right next to each other, and we need room for staging and to put other DPW equipment in the park, I think they need to be sequential. So I outlined in that letter the time to do the documents, the time for public bidding, and the time for construction for all three of those projects. So, I had also updated over the past month or so, collected, if you will, because there's been a lot of information back and forth, a very, very preliminary idea of cost for the renovation of the ambulance building. I will say I don't know enough about that building to say definitively, I think it's this. So I gave a fairly wide range. I think it was 575 to 750 for that renovation. And we here in this room need back and forth on the design of that. We really haven't had the benefit of that yet. So if you need a placeholder for budgets, that ballpark I think is okay, but we really need more, we collectively need more information. The police department renovation, once this room we're in is vacated and expanded, and and the expansion in the alleyway, if you will, for the Sally Port, that too is so many steps ahead of us. I'm very hesitant to give any kind of pricing on it right now. And we do need more information on the site of what's happening between this building and our property line in terms of drainage, utilities, et cetera, that might come through that small area. So there's absolutely, we need to do more investigation when the time is right in that sequence. So that's where we stand right now, and we're.
So Mr. Iavino,
Yes,
so we're reading through, you're saying step one is to build a new DPW facility,
That's correct.
leaving ambulance corps and police department as it is.
That's
And that's an 18 to 24 month timeline from today.
all in, right, yes.
So in 2 years, we would start then the ambulance corps renovation, which is probably a 9-month project.
Yes, and I did note that depending on the activity around the new DPW, as it comes up out of ground, you could decide to go out to bid a little earlier and have some overlap if you realize that you have the space.
But right now, we're looking at 2.5 years from today for DPW to be complete. Ambulance corps starting in let's say January 2027? No, 2026, excuse me, 2026.
You're right, I have it just before that, but it goes into 26, the middle of 26.
And then in September, October of 2026, we could bid the police department renovations, take bids in of 27, correct?
I think we can complete by February 27, so I'm a little earlier than that,
Okay.
but trying to be optimistic about it.
Yeah.
But it still stretches out, and I
With
think.
force
it has-
majeure and everything that's going on in our construction world, I agree with you. I've been optimistic, but having paid $11 million in escalation force majeure clause on my project I'm currently working on, it's the world we live in, and it's amazing when you can't get cement to make concrete in the United States, where we've become a third world country because of force majeure and not being able to get supplies from other countries that are holding us hostage. So it's a tough time frame, and I think you're there. I'm not disagreeing, but I'd add a little bit more time to it.
Right. I think the bottom line is that it's fluid, right? I think
Yeah, it's fluid.
we have these 3 major steps, and we have to see how the first step is going to decide on 2. But I think it's important to have the documents ready so that you can make that decision. And I'm not saying we're here to do all of them right now. I don't think that makes sense, because the building codes change, your needs are going to change. It should be as contemporary as possible.
Thank you.
Yep.
So if I would ask, I know Ms. Velez isn't here tonight, but if we could finalize all our wants or not wants at the DPW for the September meeting, right? So we could make a decision on this day as to say, Mr. Mayor, please proceed with the final documents on the DPW building. Is everybody okay with that? So we'll go yay or nay next meeting, that we would give the mayor and the administration the authorization to say, yes, proceed in this manner.
If I could.
Yes, Mr. Ivey.
We've been, we worked on this for months.
Yeah, so you're there, but I'm still reluctant in building a masonry building out there. Like, it's just too much money to add. I know it sounds like it's not a lot, but 750,000 here, another 500, it starts to add up very quickly. And it's just, I'd like to see some things added and some things taken out, like kind of.
I could email to Mark the most current plans from April of last year, the floor.
Mr. Mayor, is that okay if Mr. Iavino shares that with Mr. DiCarlo, if we could share it with the council so we can make a determination for the next council meeting to move forward?
I don't know if it's in this packet. It was in the last one for sure.
But is that the latest, or we don't know?
No, that is the latest.
Okay, so everybody
Yeah.
has the latest in their July packet that we have.
And I would ask if you respectively have any questions for
Get 'em
Mr.
sooner.
Iavino. Yeah, get them to us so we can get them answered before the next
Is
meeting.
that okay with everybody on the days?
Yeah, so
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not ending the conversation. I just want to put it out there. So we have the packet from the July meeting. If everybody could review it, get Mr. DiCarlo questions for Mr. Iavino for the next meeting, so we can have them answered for the next meeting. And I guess depending on the depth and breadth of those questions, Mr. Mayor, we may need Mr. Iavino here, or they may be questions that Mr. DiCarlo or yourself can answer. But I don't know the magnitude of those questions at this point.
Right.
So, I mean, if they're that extensive, we may have to have Mr. Iavino back,
Okay.
which I know he likes to see us, so, yeah.
So just in the last month's package, and I may have shuffled them in the chaos at the end of the meeting, there is the most up-to-date police and what's the other thing?
Ambulance?
Ambulance, but there's no plan for the,
I can send, how about I send them out again?
Yeah,
There's no
just-
confusion.
Yeah.
If you
But
could.
we know which ones are
Mr.
the
Mayor, is
latest.
that okay if Mr.
So
DiCarlo
it'll
does?
just be the plans for DPW.
Just DPW at this time, since the timeline's now been adjusted that we can't do them concurrently, we have to do them, one after another. If we can get the DPW, get your questions to Mr. DiCarlo as soon as possible, and hopefully we'll have a resolution at the next council meeting.
Great.
And I kind of cheated and read your response already, Mr. DiCarlo, because
Yeah, helps.
I was going to say, why is Mr. Iavino here? Because we don't know what the costs are going to be, but I know you have costs coming in your report, so.
so can I ask a question? Your memo dated May 23, DPW garage and site improvement, preliminary opinion of probable construction value. It's the 5.2 million memo.
Yes.
So my only question is, has the township's engineer done this, prepared the site work estimate? I know you have an allowance, but for the emergency services building, which I understand is a much larger property and there was more involved, but the construction of the building, I think, ended up like 5.2 or 5.3.
Correct.
But we've spent close to
Close to seven.
7. So again, we put a commuter lot in, there was other site work, but it just seems that 300 seems low based on that. So that would be my only ask.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I answer?
Yeah, please.
We started off this project with Boswell Engineering. We didn't lose any time and money on the
Mr. DeCarlo, can you
services
just speak up a little?
because they did the topographical and boundary survey.
Thank you.
But in my update that was supposed to be before he spoke, I had talked about some of this stuff. So we did meet. We got Mr. Beckmeyer up to speed very quickly. So he was kind of brought in when we met 2 or 3 weeks ago to get up to speed and to ask for a more accurate estimate of what the site plans are going to be. So unfortunately, he's still working on it. What we're trying to figure out is how we put a salt dome on the property as well, if we can, which is an important component. So it's taken him a little longer to kind of give us that number. So, in a roundabout way, it doesn't provide the answer you're looking for, but we're working towards that engineering site number to include his engineering fee and what he thinks the site improvements would be.
Mr. DiCarlo, what detriment have we had using the county salt other than the loss of 15 minutes to drive down the road to pick up the salt? I mean, what detriment is it?
So
to us?
when talking to, we had this conversation with Mr. Lower to it and Mr. Beckmeyer as, if it doesn't fit here, where and what else can we do? And a lot of times we're beholden to other towns or, I'm just going to summarize it by that. When they're run out, when their supply is, when they're open, when they're closed, you would think if it's the same snowstorm, they're most likely open. We get our salt from a combination of the county and a private company. I forget the name of it. So for every storm, we get a certain amount of tonnage from the county because we do the county roads. So, I don't remember off the top of my head all the negatives that would be with that, but obviously the best scenario would be to have the salt.
I understand. We'd also like a 50-acre site to put all this on. And then Mr. Iavino won't be designing in a shoebox, but we don't have that ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've asked Mr. Beckmeyer to look, but the answer may come back. There just is no place.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just one last question, and I don't know if it's for Mr.
Throw it up.
Is this number, does this include the, is it section 20 costs? does this include all of the engineering and
It does not. I'm sorry, Mr.
bonding?
It includes his, we have a proposal that the council passed a resolution early '23. So the proposal for the architecture, which is in my report, is 195,000. We're down to a balance of, I'm going to round it off to, I think, 153, 154. So it includes all the architectural fees to get us through even the inspection of the construction. I let you talk more, but it does not include the engineering.
Right, well, the site engineer, so
Yeah.
the fee for my team includes mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire sprinkler, structural,
Do you have observation services included in your fee?
till you occupy, yeah. So we're in there, regular meetings, et cetera. A lot of records and fingers crossed, a good contractor after our public bid,
Correct.
and we'll be good to go.
All right. So, Mr. Ullman, to answer your questions, that does not include all the soft costs, which you're calling some section number, I forget. Anything else for Mr. Iovino tonight, gentlemen?
Not tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Iovino.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Next on our presentations, we have the proposed planning board ordinances. Mr. Sabino, the chairman of the planning board, is here with Mr. Leiden from Burgess. I know Mr. Sabino, we've been going back and forth, but I just wanted to give the courtesy to our new township attorney to make sure she was up to speed on everything, because kind of her first day on the job, we threw her to the wolves with all these ordinances. So I wanted to make, but she's all set and ready to go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for
Yep, of course.
having that done, but we wanted to make sure we didn't come tonight and give us a presentation and then we weren't ready.
No, totally understand.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Council President, council members, Mayor, and Borough Administrator or Town Administrator. Everyone knows Lenny Sabino, I'm the chairman of the Planning Board, and along with me to present this evening is Steve Leiden from Burgess Associates. So before we start down the path of discussing the draft ordinances and answering your questions this evening, I thought I would give some context as to how we got here. It's been some time since I've appeared before this, for you council members. So again, just want to rehash, spend a minute doing that. Back in December of 2023, the town engaged Burgess Associates to review 4 recommendations that came out of the 2019 master plan, the reexamination. And out of the reexamination report, there were 4 objectives that were not timely addressed for a number of reasons. First one was to review the area and bulk standards applicable to single-family homes. The second objective or recommendation was to review the current commercial vehicle on residential property ordinance. Third objective was to review the impervious surface coverage. And the last objective was for Burgess Associates to review the northwest corner of Pascack Road and Washington Avenue. So of the 4 objectives that the town had engaged Burgess Associates for, we've completed 2. Basically, the first one, reviewing the area and bulk standards. We also reviewed the impervious surface coverage. The review of the commercial vehicle ordinance is currently in process, and I'm hoping that by the next planning board meeting, we will have a draft for the council to review. And then lastly, there was we did not review the northwest corner of Pascack Road and Washington Avenue property, and everyone knows why it was not included, but we did not review that piece of property. So tonight, what we would like to do is for Steve Leiden from Burgess Associates to review with you the 3 draft ordinances which were approved by the planning board last month. And as I mentioned, hopefully by next month, we'll have you the commercial vehicle draft ordinance. So with that, I'll turn it over to Steve.
Good evening, and thank you for having us.
Thank you, Mr. Leiden.
There are 3 draft ordinances that you have, and because I don't know your nomenclature, I didn't number any of them. But I would like to, if it's okay with you, Mr. President, to go over this ordinance first. It's the one that starts with section 1 at the top and ends with section 7 at the bottom of page 1. And it's a 2-page draft ordinance. And what this does,
Hold on, it's not the first one in our package. Sorry.
sorry,
Is that the ordinance to create new zone or no?
no, it's,
It's the third one.
there you go. And the last shall be first, or something like that.
Where is it?
Is it ordinance to amend 580?
It's,
No, they all are.
Because that's the only one with that title though.
I think
Or
it's
is it the one to rezone the side of Passover?
the east side of Pascack Road.
Right, east side of.
Which one is that in order? Oh, you got them, yeah, I didn't unflip them, yeah, that's fine.
It's,
2 pages long. And the bottom of page 1 is section 7 on it.
Here it is, ordinance to rezone, okay. Got it. So what are we doing here, Mr. Lyon?
Okay, well, you know, as planners look at zoning, 2 primary aspects are surrounding context of development and also environmental features. And then we look at lot sizes. If I go to the exhibit we have here, this is an exhibit of sheet 15 of your tax map.
Yep.
Ribbon roads up here at the top, the high school properties to the right, and Pascack Road is going through the north to south, if you will, to the left side of the exhibit. What we're proposing is not to rezone the stone gardens property at the corner, but the next 9 parcels going south on the east side of Pascack Road are all large lots. The smallest one is down here, it's a little bit over a half acre. This lot is 4 acres, this one is 2 acres, and the rest are in between. I almost hesitate to bring this, but your tax map shows what's called the swamp line.
Yes.
And if you look at that line, it goes through these lots at about the midpoint on all of them. What's important about swamps, we now call them wetlands, especially the wetlands to be exact, they have buffers with them. So even though let's assume this line is absolutely correct, it's not the limitation that DEP would recognize. They would look at least 50 feet closer to Pascack Road. So with that brief background, that tells me that those parcels are environmentally sensitive and they have the brook, which you guys can pronounce better than I can, the M Brook.
Mosquapsink, I learned how to say it, Mosquapsink Brook.
Well,
I actually did lessons on it at home.
Okay.
But just really quick, Mr. Lighting, just to back up a second.
Yes.
We're not including Stone Mill because they're still part of the overlay zone?
The affordable housing plan.
Okay, but the overlay affordable housing, okay. That's why I just want to put it out there that we're not,
We're not looking at that one at all.
yeah, but we did not look at them because they're still part of our affordable housing requirements if they ever decide to develop.
Correct, that is a little bit. Which I didn't show, but I probably should. All of these lots, with the exception of this little one here, back up to the end brook.
Yep.
And that has been classified by DEP as a category 1 stream, which means that, forget the wetlands, there's a 300-foot buffer from the top of the bank towards Pascack Road. So we looked at all that data, and we looked at that data in the context of your master plan reexamination report, which looks to minimize flooding, preserve the township's natural features, and minimize impervious coverage. And we thought the thing to do was, all these properties are now in a half-acre zone. And what this ordinance would do, we switch them from the AA to the AAA zone and make the minimum lot area an acre. It would not change the frontage requirement because, with the exception of the B zone, all of the zones in Washington Township have the same 100-foot frontage requirement, nor would it change the building coverage allowance, since in every zone in the township, except for the B, I think, you have 20% coverage. So what it does is it requires additional lot area, recognizing the sensitivity of the properties between Pascack Road East and the brook.
So the AAA zone is the, I gotta flip to the page here.
the 1 acre zone.
Correct, the 1 acre zone.
And right now it's in the AA, which is a half acre zone. If the council were to adopt this ordinance of the mayor's to sign it, that's the only change that would occur. We're not changing setbacks, we're not changing building coverages, we're not changing uses. It's simply to take those 9 lots and move them from the AA zone to the AAA zone.
But the minimum coverage is, maximum coverage is 30% on those lots.
That's correct. Well, right now, let me take it back, that if the council would adopt another ordinance, that right now there is no impervious coverage. And we'll get to that in a second.
Oh, wow.
There's no impervious coverage in the township in any of the residential zones.
That's not true.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So we've
Well, as Alina
been, so we've
confirmed
been enforcing it like,
A wink and a nod?
yeah, I mean, I got a lot of flack for coverage on my addition on my house, and now you're saying there was none, like,
Well, there's a building coverage limitation,
Yeah.
and that's universal,
yeah.
20%, but there's no impervious coverage limitation.
Okay.
And that's one of the things I'd like to talk about, but before we get to that, if there are no questions about the east side of Pascack Road, I don't.
How come we're allowing, so Mr. Lyden, what caught my eye on your little charts that you had submitted to us is, we're making 1 acre lots, right?
Yes.
And we're saying the maximum impervious coverage is only 30%, right?
Correct.
But on a tiny lot in the B zone, on a 7,500 foot, we're allowing 40%.
Right, it's still less land area,
But
but how hard is it to build
on a 7,500 foot lot, yeah.
with 30% curb? If you allow 20% impervious or building coverage,
Yeah, it's
there's
tough.
no room for a driveway or
Got
a
it.
walk. So yes, you quickly covered it. The smaller lot zones would be allowed a higher percentage
Because you need it, yeah.
because you really do need it.
Okay. And then the other question I had is in the single A zone, I thought the maximum building height was when was that revised to 28? Because it used to be
It used to
25.
be 25, it was revised a few years ago. And, okay, I was gonna do the other ordinance, but since we got to this one, maybe this chart is worth looking at.
No, continue. I don't mean to steal your thunder. I just curious
Okay.
when that was changed.
Well, and I don't want to steal your thunder, do you want me to go with all 3 ordinances?
So let's finish up on this one. Does anybody have any questions on the first ordinance that Mr. Lyden has presented? I think it's a great idea to do this. I have no objection to it. And now that we've put it in the public that we've omitted the nursery because it's part of our affordable housing, we're not picking on them. We're not doing anything for them because, that's what people think. But so we've made that clear. And I'm okay with this. Does anybody else have any comments on this ordinance? So we could, if you don't mind, Ms. Lyden, I just finish one at a time. This way we can get approval or comments or disapproval and put this ordinance to Mrs. Bailey. Do you have any
I
questions?
have one question. Are there any lots identified on this map that would be zoned into nonconformity?
One, I mean, not conforming towards use. Well,
Right.
this one lot here is just over half acre.
And that's the only one?
That would become a non-conforming lot by area. That's a developed lot, I believe.
Yes, that's the one right next door to the Knights of Columbus, right?
Correct. And that person would be able to buy and sell lots, Kinsella land. He wouldn't be affected unless he wanted to expand the dwelling. At this stage, you probably need a variance anyway, because it's such a small lot, but that'd be the only lot that would become less than what this new zone would allow for.
Well, what is that existing zone now that we're rezoned?
That's in the AA lot.
That's a double A lot. So and how many square feet does he have,
He's
right?
at just over 22,000
So he just is over the minimum lot area.
by the skin of his teeth. And that's on tax map data, which has
Could
gotten
be
much
off.
better. It's gotten much better through the years, but it could be off the data.
But his frontage and his lot width is still correct. It's still 100 by 100. It's still 100 frontage, and the depth is more than that since he's 20 something.
And I'm not proposing to change, in the chart, I'm not proposing to change the long-standing lot frontage requirements.
So the only thing that would make that a non-conforming is the physical lot area. Everything else, I believe he meets, right? That lot meets? Because I think lot frontage, lot width, lot depth, he meets all that, right?
And because the development, if I recall, is up close to the road, he may also meet the impervious coverage that's proposed in the zone,
Okay.
but I did not get.
But other than those two, those
Yes.
maybe, so just to answer Mrs. Bailey's question, the only two things that would make that lot a non-conforming would be the physical lot size and possibly the coverage.
Possibly coverage.
So that's not too bad. It's not like we're making it wider and he's not wide enough, or depth and he's not deep enough and all that, which sets off a lot more variances.
Correct.
So it's really just.
Yeah, and I think any expansion as is would probably trigger something anyway.
Probably because it's
Right,
constrained.
right.
Okay. Any other questions on this ordinance, ladies and gentlemen?
No, I'm okay with it.
All right, the next ordinance I'd like to talk about in a little bit more detail and a little bit more,
Which one is this now, Mr. Lyden?
this is the one with a long list of lots and lots.
Yes, okay, good. All right, that's the next one on there.
We did not prepare the reexamination report for the township years and years ago, but we did look at all the lots. And the only zone where you have numerous lots, which are greatly in excess of what the zone standard is in the A zone, the 10,000 square foot lot. And for one reason or another, they seem to surround the lake. I'll call it Washington Lake because I can pronounce Washington, and the emblem. So that had two of the things that the examination report were looking to achieve. They were looking to bring the zoning into greater conformity with the development pattern, and they were trying to seek environmental sustainability, if you will. So what I've done sorry, Mr. Chairman, what the planning board has done is they've looked at these lots, and they decided the lots in blue, and you'll notice I included the lake, because right now, the lake's not zoned. Notice, we would propose that these lots be put into a new zone. I know you haven't done a new zone for affordable housing purposes for a while. I've called it the BB zone, simply to try to maintain your nomenclature.
Okay.
And right now it's in the A zone, requires 10,000 square feet of lot area. I'm suggesting we put this into a zone with a minimum lot area of 18,000 square feet.
Do we have any non-conforming lots?
There's about 9. I didn't count as to how many I was recommending, but there are some obviously large lots, like the lake lot itself, like the council. This lot 17 is owned by the township. This lot 12, I believe, is owned by the township, as well as the Lake Association owns some of the really narrow linear lots, which follow the stream bed. So here I was recommending to change the zone designation, and if you do look at Schedule 1, I've highlighted everything that's new and different. So as you look down, the BB column is highlighted in its entirety.
Can you pull the microphone closer again?
I'm sorry.
Text thing that you, yeah, and when you stand up, maybe so we still have the wireless.
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe I'll try not to stand up.
Either one.
So on this Schedule 1, everything in the BB is highlighted because it's a new zone. You'll also notice that everything in the maximum impervious coverage row is also highlighted because right now, the township ordinance doesn't have a maximum impervious coverage. So, and if you look at the A column to the left in the B, I tried to follow the lead of the current ordinance. So yes, I changed the lot area. The lot frontage stayed the same. You don't have a minimum lot width, which I think is another thing you might want to do. And in each case, I made the lot frontage the same as the lot width. And frontage is measured along the street. Width is typically measured at the building setback line. So what it does is it avoids getting really constrained lots. Now you have to take 2 width measurements. The minimum lot depth, your ordinance seems to require 95 feet as a minimum lot depth, even in the acre zone. And to put my builder's hat on, which I'm not, a builder's lot traditionally has been called a 200 by 200 foot lot. It's 40,000 square feet. We have a zone which requires a greater lot area than that, and your minimum lot depth is 95 feet. It doesn't work. And nobody who's got an acre lot wants a 95-foot wide lot, because you'd end up with a very long, elongated dwelling, and narrow elongated dwelling. So, but getting back to the.
But I think, Mr. Lyden, I think this was done when flag lots were popular, and they were trying to get some people to be able to subdivide a flag lot out of it.
Maybe, and flag lots are no longer popular.
I know.
No matter where I am.
But that's what I think this was, when you look at the 1976 doings and what was popular back then.
That could be.
It was for flag lots, and I'm glad they weren't built in township, because they're atrocious. You know,
There are very few in the township.
I don't know how many there are, but there's not many.
There's not many at all.
But I think that's why that 95 number came out, so you could, you know, subdivide the back of your yard.
Getting back to the comparison between the A, which is what the existing zoning is, and the proposed BB, I did change the minimum lot depth to 150 feet, which is a normal depth. The front yard, I saw the two larger lots at 50. The A has 30, so I boosted it a little, but not by much, to 40. The side yards, I kept the same as 15. The rear yards here, again, if you look at the AA zone, it's a 10,000 square foot lot zone. Right now, under today's requirements, it has a deeper required rear yard than the half acre or the acre zone. I don't know why. I couldn't figure that out. And what I tried to do a lot of this was rectify inconsistencies. That clearly is an inconsistency, just like a 95-foot depth on an acre zone is. So I knew I wasn't going to use a 25, so I came up with 50, which matches the other two larger zones. Maximum building coverage throughout the township is 20%, so that number works for me, so we used it. And then, as the council president and I were talking earlier, in the small zones, in the 7,500 square foot lots, if you're limited on impervious coverage, it's very, very difficult to build a dwelling. So recognizing that and not trying to make everyone run to the zoning board, I thought it made sense to give them a 40% impervious coverage. And then as the lots get larger, that percentage goes down. It doesn't mean the houses get smaller, but just the percentage of impervious coverage gets smaller. As far as the building height, Council President mentioned that the township did raise the building height a few years ago to 25. I'm suggesting in the BB zone, we have a 30-foot building height limitation. And I'm also recommending that in the 10,000 square foot lot zone, it go to 30 feet. And staying on building height, for the 7,500 square foot lots, I'm recommending we increase that to 28.
And that is pretty common in most municipalities these days, because I know there's a lot of variances when I was on zoning board that we give out for heights. It's a lot of work, and it's, unless you're,
And usually building height is 33 to 35 feet.
So we're still under the normal, but we're closer to it at least.
You're closer to it, and I think a good architect can design a modern dwelling with 28 or 30-foot limitations. I don't know that you need to go to 35, but there is a good example up on Pascack Road and Wycliffe Lake where they, I think, artificially reduced the building heights, and the buildings don't look right, at least not in my estimation. So I think raising the B zone to 28, and again, keeping all the storage the same at 2.5, and then providing a 30-foot building height limitation for the A zone and the BB zone, and leaving the other two larger zones alone. So that's basically what the second ordinance we're discussing does. It creates a new zone in town. The rest of this, you do have a somewhat unusual zoning ordinance in that you list all the lots in each of the zones. So in order to delete these lots out of the A zone, I had to delete them from the chart. And then I had to put them in to the BB zone. So that's what you see here. And I decided, because I was trying to work with your terminology, right now you have Article 5, Class B district. I suggest we make that the Class B and the Class BB district. So then I run through all of the lots that are shown on the map in blue.
Which were taken out of the C zone.
Except for one. One was taken out of the C zone. And I said I wasn't going to get up real quick. And this lot here, 21, is owned by the library. There was one that was in, and yes, it is in the library. It is owned by the library, but it's in the C zone. So I'm suggesting that it's not going to be developed commercially, it probably won't be developed residentially, but I'm suggesting that that be put in the BB zone. So then I had, if we're
So
going,
the only lot you're taking out of the commercial zone is the library,
the library lot, yes.
which I have no objection to doing that.
I didn't think.
Does anybody else have an objection to that?
Then in order to make these changes that are shown in Schedule 1, I needed to go through the ordinance and insert them or modify them where the verbiage is. So that's why this looks very redundant, because it is, because it's done for each lot, for each zone. And then at the very end of this ordinance on page 8, minimum lot depth for some reason was shown under residential buildings and lot requirements, but it was the only dimension shown there. I'm suggesting we take that out and call it reserved for future use.
Okay.
And then 84, we have a long list of the residential zones. We just need to put in BB for that if the council's going to adopt this ordinance. So that's basically what this does. And if you look at page 6, for instance, 580-27.2, I put the lot coverage and the coverage requirements and the lot width requirements all in there, because those are, I was trying to maintain the integrity of the ordinance. So I added the impervious schedule in there, or the impervious limitations in there, and I also said to see the Schedule A, which then become part of the ordinance. Right now, your zoning ordinance, which I don't think I brought a copy of with me,
Is it Schedule 1, not Schedule A?
is Schedule 1, yes.
So there's a
You're correct.
typo on that.
You know, I was supposed to change that for the planning board, and I didn't. My apologies. Right now, your zoning map has a legend. If the ordinance to create the BB zone is going to be adopted and signed by the mayor, the zoning map needs to be changed. I think the legend should come off the map at the same time and be replaced with Schedule 1.
That would make the most sense.
It would. So that's why that recommendation is there. And that's really what this second ordinance seeks to do, and to be consistent with Schedule 1.
Any comments on the second ordinance, Mrs. Bailey, or anybody on the day?
Council President,
Yes.
can you please give me a clear understanding on what can be built in the new zone BB?
Single-family dwelling,
Strictly single family?
yes. And the associated, detached garage, a pool.
Right.
The purpose is to have, just like it is now with the A zone, but on a somewhat larger lot.
Okay.
Yeah, because the B zone is small lots, and it doesn't really, these lots are double the size. It's more than double, because 18,000 is the minimum square footage versus 7,500 in the normal B.
Well, most of these are in the A zone.
Oh, right, okay.
Right, so
But still, 10,000 to 18,000 is a big difference, almost double the size.
It is a big difference.
Yeah.
And I think it's somewhat mitigated by the fact we're leaving the frontage at the same 100 feet. So it's not, it's not trying to penalize people, it's trying to come up with a more sustainable environment and make the lots that are in the township more consistent with the ordinance.
Yeah. Any other questions on BB? All right, you go. One more, right, Mr. Leiden?
One more. This one is really a clarity and consistency ordinance, is the way I think of it. And it starts off with a few definitions. And, you know, I'm not going to criticize anyone who came before me because God knows I'll be criticized when I leave. But your corner lot had a very good definition, except it said what it says, and then it said, comma, of a conforming lot area and frontage. Well, a lot at the corner of two streets is a lot at the corner of two streets, whether it's conforming lot area and conforming frontage or not. So what I tried to do with these definitions is, in that case, clean it up and take off the requirement that they have a conforming area. And then we're now regulating impervious coverage. You have to tell people in the zoning ordinance what you mean by that, and you also have to tell them what impervious surface is. They're terms, you've got to define them. The impervious surface is not one that definition is not one that I came up with. I stole this lock, stock, and barrel from the DEP regulations, because that's where impervious surface becomes most important. So I figured the township didn't want to go off in its own different direction, as opposed to what DEP is looking at as impervious surface. That would do homeowners no benefit. So we use the exact same definition from DEP. Lot frontage and depth and side yard and width of lot, I was just trying to clean them up. The side yard definition, for instance, the way it currently reads, goes out to the street and it goes all the way to the rear lot line. But that's not the way your ordinance actually regulates it. So what I tried to do here is talk about the side yard extends from the front of the dwelling to the rear of the dwelling and no further. Because as you don't quite reach the dwelling as you're walking in from the street, all of that from side lot line to side lot line is the front yard. And then after you get past the dwelling,
That's what comes side.
from side yard to side yard is all the rear yard. But your side yard definition didn't read that way. So this was just to make it consistent.
So one of the things Mr. Leiden, not to stop you there, is you didn't redefine building height. And it's my pet peeve when people build ugly houses like you're talking about by building up berms at the corners. So when you take the differential in height from the corner that's been built up with modular block and changing of the grade to get that corner height to meet the 28 or 25 or 30. And then years later, those building blocks disappear and they have a 35-foot house because they graded the side of their house up 7 feet. Is there any way we could add some more teeth to that, to building height, like you've done on the rest of these definitions?
Yes.
If you could, please.
Unfortunately, that did not come up.
It's fine. It came up in my review. I just wanted to make sure
Sure.
if we could, if Mr. Spino, if we're not against it, because I've seen it happen all over town. People, the height's off, so we build up these little, we build up these berms on our corners, because then when we do the height evaluation around the house at all the different points, it comes up with an average that's less, and it's really not, because
It really isn't.
eventually they're going to remove those walls and it's way higher.
So yes, I can absolutely provide you with a definition for building height. Right now, accessory buildings, you wasn't sure how close you could be to a lot line. So we confirmed that they can only be in the rear yard, which is what your ordinance seems to want right now. Certainly, I don't think anybody wants a swimming pool in the front yard. And we left the 15% of the rear yard you're allowed to cover with accessory features because it didn't seem to be an issue.
Was there any, have we looked at what other towns allow? Because I know that ends up being a variance in front of the zoning board a lot, because it is restrictive. 15 sounds like a lot, but like you said, when you start, putting in-ground pools and pavers and all that, it starts to add up quickly. So is that something we could review to maybe 20?
Sure.
That's me talking, Mr. Sabino. I don't know if you guys want to entertain it or not, but it would just.
When you talk about accessory buildings, are we talking garages, are we talking sheds, what are we talking?
Gazebo.
Pool cabanas.
Pool cabana.
Okay,
If it's not attached.
Anything that's not attached, so a shed,
Yep.
Yes.
a pool, a cabana, a garage.
Pool. Yes, a pool would count in the impervious coverage, yes. or the 15%, yes. So I can take a look at those, yes,
All right.
and see what some other communities have.
I've seen some good engineers use a pool as a
Stormwater detention basins.
Yes, so,
I'm not sure those are good engineers.
no, but they've tried. I've been at the board when they tried, so.
I think the question that I have, and it's come up on this board a lot of times where we have people that are putting up sheds and garages.
Yes.
And the issue is, what is the setback for a side yard, okay? A rear yard, and where the two meet. So that's the one that we get hit all
And
the time.
now he's addressed that.
I
So.
want to make sure that that's well defined, you know. I mean, there's some lots in town that are very small, okay?
There are.
There are small houses on them, and those people really rely on having a shed for their equipment. And I don't want to penalize those people for having that. I mean, if you're living in a AAA, it's not a problem. If you're living in C or B, it becomes an issue. So I want to make sure that we have enough setbacks so you're not on your neighbor, but enough where they can actually, have a shed or something like that. So.
Well, we did talk about a lot of that, not so much with we did with sheds, but HVAC equipment in the side yard.
Right.
And there was concern about that. So we talked about having at least a 5-foot setback and that it had to have some vegetation around it.
But what about generators?
We had a separate ordinance
Yeah,
for
there's
generators.
an existing separate
Separate one for that.
separate ordinance for generators.
Okay.
And I didn't touch that because that didn't come up.
But have you reviewed that to make
Yes.
sure we're good? It's okay?
Council President, ma'am?
Yes, Mr. Seer.
Do we have a ordinance that defines the height of what a shed could be and how wide it could be?
Not the width, but the height.
The square
yes.
footage, I thought you had square footage for a shed. Isn't it like if it's over 120 square feet, you need a permit and a whole thing? If it's under, you don't? I believe something like that.
Not that I'm aware of.
2 complaints that I received of the height of a shed.
I think there is a limitation on the heights. Maybe it's in the definition.
Well, I know garages, they can be equal to the home, from what I understand. Who wants a 35-foot high garage? I don't know,
I think I'll have to get back to you, Councilman, with that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
No problem. Anything else, gentlemen, on this? Mr. Ullman, anything? Well, thank you, Mr. Sabino. Thank you, Mr. Lyden.
Thank you, and I'll get back with some information to the council for sure.
Appreciate it.
Great.
So, Mr. Sabino, I think we're, if Mrs. Bailey's ready and we just have these 2 questions, the 2 or 3 issues addressed by Mr. Lyden, you think we'd be ready for the September meeting to adopt the resolutions?
On first
First reading introduction?
September 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, we could get together, sure. They're pretty
done, or
Yeah,
they're
I
pretty
can
together already.
conform them to,
Yeah,
however you do it.
So Council President, just to ensure there's 3 questions come out of the Chapter 580. First one is define the building height.
Yes, please.
Right. Second one is to provide some benchmark data on the 15% coverage.
If we need to go to more than that, if Mr. Lyden can do some research. I know he does other towns and it's easy for him to look it up and say,
Yeah, but to be honest, when we were going through this process, Mr. Lyden will tell you, I mean, the ordinances in Bergen County are all over the place.
okay, that's fine.
All over the place.
Well, it doesn't have to do with dissertation. I just, if we think 20% might help a lot of these variance requests, or, it's only 5%, it's not a lot, but it stops people from having to spend thousands of dollars to come here for like another 3 foot of a walkway around the pool because they're at like 18 instead of 15.
One thing we might try, if I might suggest on the fly, which I'm been told never to do, but I'll do it anyway. We might have a limitation percentage-wise of the lot, but we might say something along the lines of, notwithstanding this provision, a shed of no more than 80 feet would be permitted as of right on any lot.
Okay.
Because that way you're not harming the person with a very small lot, but.
It wouldn't count toward the calculation of that 15%.
Yeah, there's a way of.
I hear what you're saying. Okay, let's look into that.
Yep. Okay, and then the last one is the, Mr. Sears is the shed
Maximum
height.
shed height, yes.
Maximum shed
Yeah, which may be in here, but I'll check and I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. All right, we take a 5-minute recess, everyone?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yes.
We'll take a 5-minute recess.
Recording stopped.
Report of the
Recording in
administrator.
progress.
Sorry.
Mr. DeCarlo, you're up.
Thank you, Council President. This is my,
Is your microphone on?
yes. This is my reply from Township meeting, council meeting on July 15th. There was no resident concerns or questions to report back to. Council concerns and questions. Council requested the tax impact for the borrowing of money. LVB, Lurch Vinci Bliss, provided the attachment with an estimated tax impact for $1 million. The attachment was included for council. Council requested an estimate to provide lighting for the proposed Great Lawn concept design at the swim club. The parking lot and access drive lighting is approximately $150,000. For ornamental walkway venue lighting is an additional approximate $160,000. Council requested the cost estimate for demolition of the swim club building and pools. I spoke to Kevin Boswell of Boswell Engineering. Mr. Boswell stated prior to providing a precise estimate for demolitions costs, it's necessary to conduct a pre-demolition environment survey for the swim club. This survey is designed to identify and test substances for asbestos, lead paint, universal, and hazardous materials. The cost for this scope of work is $13,650 and is being paid for using Bergen County Local Recreation Grant Funds. This work has begun. Council requested to know if ordinance 20-11, library renovations, was a funded ordinance. This is a funded ordinance and the balance is $66,613. Council had two follow-up questions regarding the proposed renovation design of the old ambulance building. The rear exit behind the dais cannot be made ADA due to its grade. There are sufficient ADA entrances and exits in the design according to law. The doors can be made wider to allow for voting booths to be brought into the building in the front of the building. Councilman Ullman requested further inquire of DPW needs during hot weather. We spoke to DPW supervision and the DPW union representative again regarding any needs during hot weather that the town can provide or assist with. I was informed that the members do not need anything additional. They all take water and a cooler with them to work sites. Council requested a more precise cost for the engineering architectural fees for the anticipated new DPW building, police renovations, and renovation to the old ambulance building. Mayor Calamari and I met with Glenn Beckmeyer of Beckmeyer Engineering and Anthony Iavino of Arcari and Iavino Architects. Mr. Beckmeyer is still working on the site plan in order to provide a more precise estimate. Engineering would be for the project consisting outside of the building. January 27, 2023, council approved resolution 23-143, awarding a professional services contract with Arcari and Iavino for the DPW building project. The fee total was $195,000. There is currently a balance of $153,562.50. Mr. Iavino was obviously here this evening to discuss the topic further. Mr. Iavino has provided the professional opinion that the three anticipated projects should be completed one at a time and priced at the time of the project start. Attached is his written opinion on the recommended project sequence. Bear with me, I have numerous positive updates for the council and for the township residents. First one being the stormwater management system at Northgate Condominium Association has been completed. On July 23rd, 2024, John Yakimic and I were given a tour of the system. This renovated system will have positive benefits to the residents in the cul-de-sac of Meissen Street. Coolidge Avenue was submitted as the 2025 New Jersey DOT grant for resurfacing. We have completed the first month with the difference card and we have received positive feedback from members. McKinley Avenue was mistakenly overlooked by PSE&G for resurfacing when they conducted work on the road a couple of years ago. I have spoken to PSE&G, and they have informed me that the resurfacing will take place in the near future. I will continue to monitor for completion. Veolia was completed the resurfacing of Jacob Road, Hoover Avenue, and Curtis Place, where they conducted work last year. DPW conducted a cleanup of the swim club parking lot for leaves and branches. A recent auction on Gov Deals ran from July 29th to August 2nd, 2024. We sold 29 items totaling $6,247. This amount will be deposited into miscellaneous revenue not anticipated. Renata Dulesky and Lieutenant Sheriff fielded a tremendous number of inquiries about the items, and we appreciate their efforts during the process. DNL has begun the project on Cobham Street on August 6, 2024. The project will consist of curb work, ADA ramps, and resurfacing. DNL will also resurface the library parking lot, repairing sidewalks and curbing immediately preceding county bridges on Pascack and Ridgewood Roads, and improving the apron and entrance to the Sherry Field parking lot. I have several more updates that have come in since I provided this response to the council. One of them being the drain improvements to the intersection of Amherst and Pascack should begin this week. The library renovation, the finished installation and construction should be done this weekend. The library will be closed on Saturday. I know that's been put out through social media. After that's done, a separate contractor is coming in to finish the railing, so that project should be done in its entirety within a couple of weeks. Some playground updates. The batting cages at Sherry Field and Clark Field are underway. The infield rehabilitation will begin next week at Sherry Field, and the playground equipment for Gardner Field has been ordered. The last one, Boswell Engineering is in the final preparation stage of the application to New Jersey DEP for the emergency permit to restore the bank around the two exposed manholes. There's quite a bit of work involved in that preparation of the application, and hopefully they're going to be done within the next week or two. Council President, that concludes my update. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeCarlo. Any questions for Mr. DeCarlo? Yes, Mr. DeCarlo.
Is there a timeline for the larger project, for the last update, the sewer repair?
Yeah, unfortunately, I guess even when we moved into the preparation of the application, it's taken about 2 months. Unfortunately, from there, unfortunately, it's going to be in the hands of New Jersey DEP, which they had estimated to me like 4 to 5 months for it to come back to NJDEP. Hopefully, I'll have a better idea once he confirms with me that it's actually submitted. But that's what I've been told for now.
And just one more question. Would this be repaired under a state contract, or do we then have to go out to bid?
Imagine we have to go out to bid.
Can we ask Mr. Yakimiker and Mr. Boswell if we can go down to the state and meet with them and describe the magnitude of the emergency and request that we be authorized to go out to bid to at least start getting contractors geared up before the winter months, because I hate to, hurricane season just started, last week. We're up to letter F already. Luckily, Debbie did more damage upstate New York than it did in Bergen County. But I'm not taking away from the people in Bergen County that were, we kind of missed the wrath of Debbie this weekend. But with, being up to letter F on the hurricane scale, and the magnitude of this and the environmental disaster we could have. And maybe if we can get a letter from Veolia, in support of our project to say, hey, if something happens, this all ends up in the reservoir down, in the reservoir. So I just want to make sure we're it's easy to ask and be told no, and at least then it's their fault.
Absolutely.
So I just want to, I know Boswell is very, worthy of.
Yeah, believe me,
I know they've done everything done everything they can, but I think we should maybe just request a meeting with them and say, hey, can we at least go out to bid on this? So this way, once you give us approval, we're ready to go.
I will speak with the mayor and Boswell Engineering. Of course, my response was this is an emergency permit.
Yeah, come on.
So, we're kind of at the whim of NJDEP, but I will surely exhaust every option we have to see how quickly we can get it done.
Just one follow-up question. Does Boswell, do they make a regular review to see if it's deteriorating further, or?
DPW checks it weekly. We do documented checks. Physical, like we go there and observe it. And we keep track of that.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. DeCarlo?
No.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It is with great sadness that I announce the passing of longtime Washington Township volunteer ambulance member and retired Washington Township Police Department Sergeant Tommy Lawton on August 7th. I was happy I was able to attend his wake yesterday and his funeral earlier today. My thoughts and prayers, as I know the communities, are with Tommy's family during this difficult time. I had the privilege of knowing Tommy for many years, long before my time in local government. Those who knew him can attest to his larger-than-life personality and his ability to always bring a smile and leave you with a good laugh. He could tell a story or a joke like nobody else. This is the way I will fondly remember him. If you knew him, I am sure you would have at least one warm-hearted memory of him and will remember him in the same way. If you would like to make a donation in his name, the family has asked donations please be made to the Washington Township Volunteer Ambulance Corps. The 2024 Summer Recreation Camp Program began on Monday, June 24th, and ended on August 2nd. By all accounts, the campers had a terrific time during the 6 weeks. I'm immensely proud of this program as it gives children the opportunity to enjoy many activities with their existing friends and make new friends during the summer. At the same time, it offers employment opportunities and experience to the numerous local counselors the town hires to support the program. I want to publicly acknowledge the Bethany Community Center for their support in this program. Without the use of their facilities, we could not have come close to growing the program to where it is now. I also want to thank Recreation Director Eamon Toomey and Recreation Superintendent Dan Scuderi for their support of this and all our recreation programs. One additional person to thank is Bob Stickle from Lifesavers for his CPR training of our counselors. I could not be more thrilled about this and other programs that are breaking records for the number of participants. You have my commitment that I will continually strive to expand the size and quality of all the programs we have here in Washington Township. And I hope we can add even more so that all residents can and will continue to enjoy and participate in them. The Department of Public Affairs hosted the B Street Band once again on Saturday, July 20th for a free summer concert in the park at Memorial Field. It was great to see so many residents, along with their families and friends, who came to hear some of New Jersey's own Bruce Springsteen music performed by a great band. The weather cooperated that night, and it was refreshing to enjoy an outside event without the oppressive heat of the prior couple of weeks. It was truly a classic small-town experience as fans sat in lawn chairs, some danced to the music, and young children ran around the field laughing and playing. A special thank you to Public Affairs Assistant Sasha Lopez and Councilwoman Daisy Velez, as well as the entire Public Affairs team of volunteers for their work on this and many other events like it that take place here in town. If you would like to get involved and help this talented group of people, or even share ideas for future events, please contact me at mayor@twpofwashington.us or publicaffairs@twpofwashington.us. As your mayor, I am always looking for responsible opportunities to cut costs while continuing to move the township's progress forward. Along with our administrator and qualified purchasing agent, I attended an informative seminar held by the Bergen County Improvement Authority regarding municipalities' ability to borrow money in conjunction with the county and other municipalities. By using the ability to pool their borrowing needs with the needs of individual municipalities, we can reduce borrowing costs and procure lower interest rates for all involved. I want to thank Bergen County Executive Jim Tedesco and the BCIA for putting this program together. We will be gathering more information on the program and hope to use it for our future borrowing needs. I invite you to look through the brochure for the program available on the website. Recreation news. The Introduction to Cheer program will begin on Saturday, August 17th. The program has a total of 57 registrants. Again, this is the highest enrollment for this program. The men's softball program is in the playoff parts of their season. We are excited to announce a new class to the art program. It is called Fun with Cartooning. In this step-by-step class, participants will learn how to draw a favorite cartoon character in each class. Young artists will create masterpieces using watercolor, markers, and pencil. The 2024 fall registration for the Fun with Art and Fun with Cartooning programs will open in late August. Please follow the Recreation, Parks, and Public Affairs Facebook page for updates on these programs. Fire Department news. For the month of July, the department responded to multiple fire and CO alarms, odors of burning, and one grill fire. On July 5th, in the early morning hours, the department responded to a mutual aid call to Paramus on the Parkway for a serious accident where 2 people unfortunately perished. The department responded with the rescue truck to extricate one of the victims. An excellent job was done by all, and the opportunity to speak with a counselor was offered to all who responded. During the afternoon hours of July 18th, the department responded to a property on
Excuse me,
Van.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sure thing.
Can the record reflect Ms. Velez has joined us via Zoom? So
Oh, great.
thank you.
Okay. During the afternoon hours of July 18th, the department responded to a property on Van Emberg Ave for a vehicle that backed into a raised deck attached to a home. The supports were compromised, so the department utilized their rescue jack system to support the deck while members shored up the supports until a contractor could repair it. Like any other call they respond to, countless hours of training with the right equipment ensures a swift and safe operation. As I often say, they do much more than put fires out. We owe them and our ambulance corps members a debt of gratitude for all the unpaid time they invest in our town as volunteers. 4 members took the rescue boat out on the reservoir to do an initial break-in period recommended by the manufacturer. The boat performed well, and further training for other members is planned next month. DPW news. The next collection of metal and white goods will be August 15th. Catch basins continue to be cleaned and repaired where necessary. They pruned more dead and dangerous tree limbs on town-owned property, and the department used another 900 pounds of blacktop filling potholes. Zoning office, the office was busy again last month reviewing and processing 40 zoning applications. Library. Summer programs are going strong. They hosted their first medieval festival on Saturday, August 3rd. Hosted music classes, stitching groups, story times for all ages, and special teen programs, and the summer is not over yet. Please check their website for the extensive list of exciting upcoming programs, including the annual Touch a Truck event, Lego building family events, and their annual kindergarten mixer. Library construction is wrapping up with work being done on specific days. Please call or check the library website before heading over for the most up-to-date information. Special Needs Grant. Registration has officially opened for the special needs programs and classes. There are several events and classes for all interests and abilities. Classes include music instruction for all neurodiversities taught by musician Carol Nizza, who holds a certificate in special needs music instruction from Juilliard, theater improv classes with Marble Jam, all abilities event at Monster Golf, our local township movie theater, and much more. Flyers containing a letter that was co-authored and signed by Library Director Laura Rifkin and I were mailed to all township residents on July 31st with many details about the program. But you can stop by Town Hall or the library for extra copies or check the library's webpage for details. Police and DPW space. We already spoke about this with the presentation from Anthony Iovino. I hope we can move it along to give both departments the space they desperately need to continue the services they provide to the residents. Emergency waterway bank stabilization. I am now happy to report and want to thank Representative Gottheimer for recommending the project for federal funding. More information regarding the grant and his recommendation can be found at the following web address. Gottheimer, that's GOTTHeimer.house.gov/project-requests. Click on the plus sign next to the FY 2025 Community Project Funding Submissions. Details of our project are shown toward the bottom of the webpage. Employee health insurance. We are receiving notices that insurance premiums will be increasing by over 17% for 2025. I want to again thank our administrator and health benefits coordinator for all the work doing the research and implementation, and the employees for taking a chance on the difference card. As Mark said in his report, so far, we're receiving positive comments from the employees. As we said, the switch to the different card is a win for the employees by keeping their coverage the same with lower premiums for them and for the taxpayers with lower matching premium costs. Last but not least, organization meetings. Please reach out to me if your town-affiliated organization needs a space to meet. I would like to see how much of an unmet need there is for this in town. That concludes my report. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Report of the council. I guess we'll have Ms. Velez. Oh, sure. So,
Mayor Calamari. Just, I know you had given Mr. Gottheimer's URL to check.
Yes.
Has the request been approved at this point, or has it just been?
He has recommended it for federal funding, but it needs to be approved at the federal level. Sure.
Peter, when a meeting room request is made, you get a copy of that, correct?
Do I get a copy of it? Did you say?
You had asked that any organization that uses the meetings, like I go through the superintendent.
Yeah, no, I meant more anyone who was not currently using space, but is looking maybe to use
Okay,
space.
so if we're using it already.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
Thank you. I guess Ms. Velez, if we can unmute her, if she can unmute, and let Ms. Velez do her report to the council first, since she's, we'll go in order. Good evening, Daisy.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Hello, everybody. Thank you. Okay, so first I want to start by congratulating Mr. Poller on a tremendous accomplishment. I know we didn't work together as long as others have, but my short time with him was positive. So I want to thank him for giving me a positive experience while he was on the dais with me. Second, I want to congratulate Councilman Sears on his work with Montclair State. On July 30th, they gave a great presentation, and it was really nice to hear and learn, quite a few things from a great group of young adults. You could definitely see that they have a passion for their work. So thank you, Councilman Sears, for, being the pioneer of that project. Next, the Hometown Heroes banner. I kind of tried to catch a little beginning of the PSA. So thank you for announcing that. We're still working towards getting a few more banners. So if you are still in need of sponsoring one of your family members, please visit the website for the Hometown Banners program. The summer concert, like the mayor said, was well attended. It's nice to be a spectator. I'm still getting used to sitting on the sidelines, but it's nice to see all our residents enjoying a nice summer evening together with their family and their friends. The August Wellness Series that has gone off very well. We have Zumba on Thursdays at Bethany in the back lot. It is taking place Thursdays, August 1st and 15th at 7 p.m. We already did one Zumba and one yoga class so far. We still have one of each left. Yogas will be taking place on Saturday mornings. There was the first one, which just took place this Saturday, and the next one is the 24th. That is Saturdays at Memorial Field at 9 a.m. All you have to do is bring a yoga mat or a towel and register online. So we're excited that we were able to do this as part of the success of the Spring 5K, something that, Councilman Sears, myself, and the mayor have been working to really bring to the community, as was, mentioned by Mrs. Beckmeyer with the Mayor Wellness Campaign. 1 second. Oh, the medieval event at the library. That was a really fun event. I was able to catch the very end of it, and it was well received by the people that were there. I learned a couple of things. I'm really impressed with so much that the library has to offer, and just thinking outside the box of different events to bring to our community. So thank you to the entire library staff and Ms. Rifkin for bringing such a different and fun activity to our residents. And then last but not least, I had announced it at the last council meeting that we were working towards a fall 5K. So that is underway. The official date will be Sunday, October 20th. And it'll be called Washington's Wicked 5K and Kids Fun Run. Thank you to Mayor Calamari and Councilman Sears, who are always so supportive of the ideas and, getting everything off the ground, for our kids and our community. It will be focused on a kids fun run. So costumes are encouraged, and we look forward to a nice event for our township residents and the kids. And that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Glass. Mr. Sears?
Council President, thank you. Mine will be very short tonight because we have a large agenda.
Yes.
I want to just thank Ken Pala for his years of service to this community. The damage to the bridge over on Woodfield has been corrected. It's fully functional now. I still have no report from the police department. It's been about 6 months now. The $1,000 reward is still open. And the last item, what Councilwoman Velez mentioned, the Montclair State students, they did an outstanding presentation to the council. I want to thank Council Vice President Dr. Cassio for leading the committee that day. Thank you. Your comments were well received by the group of kids, and Councilwoman Velez is also. They were able to give us a clear understanding on water damage, some problems, how to solve it. And then the administrator, Mr. Carlo, and myself attended their overall presentation to the college, which included all of their 5 college administrators and all of the sponsors of the group. They were exceptionally well received. They received one of the highest honors for their presentation. I can't say enough about those young college interns. They did an outstanding job, and I congratulate them going forward in any endeavor that they have. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Sears. Councilman Cascio?
Yeah, as Councilman Seer says, we have a lot on our plate tonight, so I'm going to keep it brief. I would also like to echo the sentiments for Mr. Poller. He has been a part of this council chamber for 42 years, and we know he did a lot of work behind the scenes, a very effective attorney, and I know he got me out of a couple of jams with the public in the past, and I think we can say that about everyone, right?
Yeah.
At one point, and his legal opinions were greatly valued. We will miss him, but we have a great replacement, you know. Also, I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Lawton's passing as well. Tommy grew up here in town. He was a lifelong resident, a graduate of Westwood High School, and if you've been in the town for a while, you know you couldn't escape calm somewhere. But he will be missed as well. In regards to the Montclair State University students and the presentation last 2 weeks ago, it was really a fantastic and well thought out plan. It was very informative. I think we have that on the website, don't we, Tom?
Yeah, it's being showed now.
Okay.
We also have a hard copy on a thumb drive.
So, you know, I would urge residents to just take a peek at it. Again, it was a fantastic presentation, and those people will succeed definitely in life. And then I guess that's really about it. Everyone have the rest of the safe summer. It's coming to an end, unfortunately. So please be safe. And one more thing. I know, Tom, you had something with the police department and bicycle safety.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yes.
Again, just my office is on a main street, and I see a lot of kids go by. They're still not wearing their helmets. Please wear your helmets. It's so important. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Cascio. Mr. Allman?
Yes, thank you, Mike. I really don't have much to report. I did want to raise or ask the mayor and the administrator if we could look at a few items. The first being dispatching and outsourcing of dispatching. Today, we recently had to hire a dispatcher. And I know at the budget meetings, there was discussion that a portion of our dispatching, which at one point was fully here in the township, has been outsourced already. And I wanted to know, or wanted to ask if we could explore that a little further. The other is a review of the aged ordinances and the possibility of canceling some of those. So I'd appreciate if that's something that the administrator and the mayor would consider supporting a review of. And lastly, the pool club and the Great Lawn. You know, I really think that a lot of effort went into it by the Recreation Committee and their proposal was very nice. Looking at the capital plan that was provided and, a $5 million ask, I just question if that is money well spent for the level of space we're creating and the usability of that space. So I really think that we should take a close look at that. I don't know when the next iteration is going to come before us, but when we do, I do think we should pay close attention with some of the other large expenditures that the town is facing. And that is my update.
Thank you, Mr. Ullman.
Council President, Mr. Ullman, what was the request about the dispatching?
To just, can we examine the full outsourcing of dispatching? So I think Chief Calamari sort of dumbed it down for me or for the council in that there's incoming calls and then the dispatching of resources. Those incoming calls, I believe, are handled by an outsourced group, but the dispatching of resources in town is handled by a staff here. My question is, can we review and look at completely outsourcing that function?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ullman. Thank you, Mr. Powell. I'll be brief. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Poller. I've known Mr. Poller for a long time. Yes, he brought a lot to this dais. So I hope he hits him straight and stays healthy for another 30 years. God bless him for retiring. So congratulations on your retirement. My condolences to the Lawton family. He was a big he was a big man that brought a lot to our police department, and having dealt with him through the years on traffic issues and other issues for our opening days was always a pleasure. And my condolences go out to his entire family at this time. And I would just like to thank Mr. Gottheimer for supporting our efforts to this emergency project and hopefully bringing some funding to fruition, which would be great. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you. Mayor Calamari, you have an advisory board of health member appointment tonight?
I do, yes, thank you. Yeah, to the council president and the council of the Township of Washington, please be advised that I am appointing the following citizen for the position set forth below. Advisory Board of Health member, Andrea DeSorcia, term expiring December 31st, 2026. I'm happy to say that in connection with the Mayor's Wellness Plan, she comes from a great background of mental health support, and so looking for, for her input on a lot of these things.
So please contact the clerk's office for oath of office to be administered when you get a chance. Thank you. Approval of minutes, public meeting October 16, 2023, conference meeting October 16, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Ullman.
Abstain?
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
And Council President DeSena.
Abstain. Public meeting November 8, 2023, conference meeting November 8, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Ullman.
Abstain?
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Abstain. Public meeting December 4, 2023, conference meeting December 4, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Ullman.
Abstain?
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Abstain.
Thank you.
General public comment. Motion to open the public comment period of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There is no one in the audience at this time. Is there anyone on Zoom?
No, they're not here.
No, they're not here on Zoom. Motion to close the public comment period.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adoption, second reading, none. Introductions, first reading, none. Resolution consent agenda. The following items have been determined to have the unanimous consent of the council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, any council member may have such item removed from the consent agenda. Does anyone want any of these items removed from consent agenda?
Can I, 297?
297, sure. Any others, gentlemen? Okay. Resolution number 24-294, authorize submission of Chapter 159 budget amendment for local recreation improvement grant 2024 in the sum of $66,000. Resolution number 24-295, authorize refund for release of performance guarantee balance, Block 1208, Lot 10, in the amount not to exceed $2,471. Resolution number 24-296, authorize refund of tax overpayments made by CoreLogic for Block 1406.01, Lot 6, and Blocks 3404.03, Lot 13, in the amount of not to exceed $7,228.28. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
yes,
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Resolution number 24-297, authorize canceling general capital fund grant receivables and improvement authorizations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, so my only question is, are we going, is this a write-off? So is there a cost for canceling this receivable?
No.
So what do we, so we have a receivable on our books from DOT for 2 projects.
Yes, they were capital grants receivables. You may have most recently recognized them from our last audit. And we've been working very hard to get the several years of New Jersey DOT grant money that was due to the township. When they make the grant award, it's really an up to amount. So if we get the grant award for $150,000, but the project doesn't cost that much, and again, these are just example numbers. And they only give us 135. We have to cancel that other 15. That other 15 is really not there and available for us to use. So the capital lines that were set up in association with these, like say it was several years ago, obviously, if there was a balance in there, these amounts were taken from the balance. So say there was a balance on 2110 of 30,000, I would have to reduce that available balance down, 30,000 minus 19,259.73. So that money was set up to be used because the grant amount was a certain amount, but we didn't actually receive that amount in the end. So canceling that is essentially a good thing because that money's not there, not available for me to use. If I used it, it would be improper because it's really not there. So it doesn't benefit us really in any way. It's just a checks and balances. We created a line saying we're going to receive this grant, and then eventually we're going to hopefully receive that grant money, which we did, and it just kind of balances itself out. So that amount doesn't go to capital surplus or capital improvement fund. It's just no longer there for us to draw from and use.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers the question.
Mark, was that money physically in our accounts or no? Just
Not
on the
really.
book? Okay.
Not really.
I'll just follow up separately, but thank you for the explanation.
I mean, it's okay if you want to ask the question.
It's okay.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
yes,
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Adjournment to conference agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next meeting of the Township Council will be on Monday, September 9th, 2024, beginning at 7 PM. conference agenda, August 12, 2024. Under administration, we have the DPW PD ambulance building, which, do we have anything else to, Mr. Mayor, now that we've discussed at the beginning of the meeting?
I don't believe I do. Mark, do you have anything to add?
No. Just ultimately.
If you're, so you're going to email that to everybody, to
Yes.
Ms. Witkowski, email it to everybody?
And then ultimately in September, we'd be looking for you to say, yes, continue moving forward.
That is the intent of the 9/9 meeting.
Perfect. Thanks, sir.
Swim club concept design.
Yeah, I'm, kind of the same. Nothing new to report. I think Councilman Ullman, you asked when we would be getting the next set of plans. Right now, there is no intent to get a next set of plans. It's really up to the council to decide how much of the town's money and hopefully grants that we want to spend on the project. So right now, that's in the council's hands.
Okay. So the plan that was presented at the meeting and then there's no action on the committee's part. This is what our first go is. This is what it's going to approximately cost.
Right, and so
And
do you want to spend more or less? But that's a council decision. So that needs to be decided before I could charge the rec advisory board with going any further.
Any other discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
based on the meeting that was held with the residents, will any of their thoughts or wishes be used to perhaps come up with another plan or modification?
I have to give you the same answer, is that it depends what the council wants to spend and, whether those requests will make the funding cut or not. So we have them saved, but, right now we're talking the 5 million. So again, up to council to say, what can we do for either 4 million or 6 million, just so, I have a direction to go in.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Finance Director, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, this was a carryover from our last meeting that got ended kind of quickly. WCTV, if I can ask you to put up the PDF I sent you, thank you. During the budget, when we spoke about the salary for the Director of Finance, there was a comment made, and it's only partially true, that the person would be checking their own work. If you see items A and B there, the director is also in charge of the department's Office of Assessment and Office of Revenue. C is CFO, which, I agree, the person would be checking their own work. But those two other departments, per se, they will not have anyone that they report to at a high level. That is covered in the finance director's scope of what they're supposed to do. So I just want to point out that, that since the council chose not to fully fund that position, I would ask, and the CFO would ask, if the council will reconsider a transfer toward the end of the year, because he feels that those departments, should have a high level of supervision. And, he would like to continue in that job, but, we don't ask anyone to take on extra responsibilities, for no pay in general. So, he asked me to kind of do a straw poll of the council to see if there would be an appetite for, a transfer. It's already fully in the salary ordinance. So again, he would just like me to poll the council, see if there's an appetite, because he would like to continue in that job. And he said with the council's word, a majority, that, he would be happy to, assuming that you could see yourself to transferring the money in November when we can make transfers.
I would be fine with doing that.
I will agree.
I'll think about it.
Is that a $900 transfer, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, it would be in November.
Okay.
My position's the same. No.
No, you're a no? Okay. Okay.
Let me just point out that, since you funded half a year and we're past the half a year point, that function is not being done at the moment. So I appreciate the fact that at least Councilman Casio said he wants to think about it.
I'll have an answer for you at the next meeting, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
Overnight parking.
thank you, appreciate that.
Wait, I'm sorry, one more comment. So then who is going to oversee these other departments in the meantime? We're just in limbo?
Yeah, they don't have high-level supervision that this position.
Well, you said he would continue to do it as he's been, even though he hasn't been being paid, is what you said just a few minutes ago.
No, he would like to, if the council gives their word
Okay.
for a transfer.
So we have the finance department, and I'm sorry, what's the other department?
The Office of Assessment and the Office of Revenue.
Okay, so they will go unsupervised.
For the time being, until I can get a majority of straw poll votes.
Okay.
Overnight parking, this was kind of an ambush. I didn't know anything about it. It got put on here. Out of respect to the chief, I left it here, but I'd like to, before we add something to the council agenda, could you please reach out to us in the future? So I didn't feel I should be a jerk and remove it, but it should be addressed correctly. Thank you.
Well, I think me and the administrator.
Well, no, I left it on there, Peter, like I said, out of respect to the office, but we didn't have any, like we've always said, we'd like to have a little backup before we meet.
Well, again, I don't think the chief expects any decision tonight. It's just to fill you in on something.
All right, perfect.
And again, usually the progression, when the chief wants to address a council meeting, he goes through myself and the administrator.
Yeah, but
we generally ask the clerk. I assume, she lets you know.
No, it's the.
No, I know when I put on the agenda.
Which is
I
fine,
know
yeah.
nothing else either.
But again, no decision is expected tonight,
Okay.
right, chief? It's just to fill in. Yeah.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Pupar, if you'd like to come up.
Thank you. While the captain hands out just some materials, I'll start because I know you guys have a long agenda. So to give a quick context on the overnight parking situation in town, for the 30 years I've been here, the ordinance has not changed. It's no parking, as we all know, on the streets from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. And it works out pretty good. We have a system where the residents, they used to call in for permission, and in the past few years, we got the new frontline system, which allows them, to do it all online. It helps the officers tremendously because they're able to, right from the car, to log in and see who has permission and who doesn't. So the system's been working really well. So when I first took over as chief, one thing I noticed when I reviewed it was that in the ordinance, it doesn't grant the chief permission to exempt anyone from the ordinance. It's never been in there because the ordinance has never been changed. I know this ordinance goes back probably to the 70s. And so that was something I wanted to address immediately. But since I've taken over as chief, I've received complaints about overnight parking. So I put my officers out there. I asked them to increase their enforcement of it, which they did. They did a very effective job. What we also did was limited in that frontline system. We limited the parking to 10 nights per month per vehicle.
Okay.
That was done at my discretion to address complaints that I was receiving from residents that vehicles were chronically left out there. And with the new frontline system, it made it so easy and convenient that it was almost too convenient, and vehicles were being put in for an extended time frame.
So if somebody inputs the same license plate number after 10, the 11th time, it'll say, no, you do not have approval.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. That's good enough.
Now, a problem.
I'm sure the people that were doing it know that, but we didn't know that. So
A problem arose with that 10-night system, that I was still getting complaints because what was happening was houses that had more than 3 vehicles would park a vehicle out for 10 days, then they would just switch and park the next one for 10 days. So I was still getting complaints from residents with regard to their neighbors parking on the street pretty much consistently all the time, that there was a vehicle on the street. And so I reduced it to 6 days, which would effectively eliminate that issue and force those residents to come up with some sort of resolution. Almost immediately, I started getting contacted from residents, which is the reason I'm here tonight, because what they're articulating is hardships in terms of they don't have enough space in their driveways to accommodate the vehicles that they have. They're telling me that they have parking for 3 vehicles, but it's 2 parents and 2 children, and both of those children are now driving, so they just don't have the room to accommodate the vehicles. So we started looking into it, police department wise, what was a way we could address this? The captain did some phenomenal legwork and found an ordinance out of Fair Lawn, which is what I handed to you. We spoke to Shaman, who was, by the way, fantastic as far as responsiveness and thoroughness. So thank you. We also had another issue with some shoplifting down in the shopping center, and your response was terrific. So thank you very much, and it was very timely. But we discussed it with Siobhan, and my point here tonight is to see if this is something that the council is interested in moving forward on. The Fair Lawn ordinance postulates a hardship permit that could be applied for to the chief, to the town. We can set up however we want to do it here. We don't have to follow Fair Lawn exactly. But it allows people to apply for a permit where the police department would go out, confirm that they have more than the number of vehicles that they can accommodate, that those vehicles are registered to that home, and they would receive, a permit which would allow them to park on the street. It's something that, speaking to the Fair Lawn chief, works out really well for them. Demographically and town-wise, they don't really line up to us. They have significantly more rental units and things like that, but the ordinance seems to work out for them, and they're happy with it. So my point here tonight was—
How many people are we talking about, Chief? Is it a dozen homes? Is it
approximately?
homes?
Yeah, it's no more. The people who have reached out to me are no more than 8 or 10 with regard to this situation, and they've all articulated the problem consistently is exactly that some of the houses on the east side of town, I know we were discussing the zoning stuff earlier, a lot of those houses were built in the 50s where it was never conceived to have 4 vehicles, 2 vehicles, and you were considered, opulent. But, and some of those still have those constraints. And so again, it was to speak to the council, find out, if you had any questions, feedback, if you wanted to move forward on changing the ordinance. I will say this, regardless of what we do, I would ask that we add a provision in there that gives the police department the authority to exempt people from that ordinance, because right now we're pretty much operating, as far as I'm able to know, of a past practice that I'm able to give people exceptions to the parking ordinance, but there's nothing.
You are.
Past practice is the only thing that I can find that governs that.
And nobody ever gave exemptions.
No, we do. That's the calling in overnight parking permission. But as per the ordinance, there's no provision to exempt a resident. We're operating off past practice. Yeah. So technically, I don't have the statutory authority to do what I'm doing, but we've been doing it for so long that we continue to do it this way.
And I can attest to that. I mean, it was very rare growing up in town that anyone put a car on the street ever. And it was also rare that, they would get a ticket. Usually you would come by and say, you're on the street and all that. And thank you for coming in, John, because now you take my E off of my council thing all the way at the bottom.
I didn't know if that was the same thing.
That's the same concern
Okay.
from a number of residents, that they have, a very small driveway that accommodates 2 cars, and they have 2 adult children living at home. And it's not just one incident, it's a few residents. So obviously it's an issue. And, I don't want Washington Township turn into some cities I mentioned, because I don't want to see
you and me
cars up and down,
Agreed.
Beach Street and Fern Street and all the streets that way. We don't want that to happen.
We already have that on Beach Street, so whatever.
Well, we want to limit it, but we want to also be accommodated, because we know that people have, they have vehicles. This is a 1950s and 60s town, a 70s town. People didn't have that back then. So, whatever we can come up with, I would be very happy with.
The permit, and you could also obviously charge a fee for it. It would be a yearly fee. They have to re-up it every year. That's what Fair Lawn does. You can charge whatever you want. So
I don't want my feeling is I don't want the on-street parking to become a habit.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so now I have 2 adult children that are living at home. Hopefully they move out, right? And then we'll have to deal with that. I'll just have 2 more cars. Until then, we have to do something to accommodate, right? So.
I think you can't make it $10, because then everybody will want one.
If you read the ordinance, there are specifically provided for hardships there. It's not a blanket thing, and that's why we would have that established and verified. Right.
We go look at their driveway, see if they have enough room for 4 cars, and we'd say, nope, you can't get it. So
what are you doing during storms, hurricanes, snow?
Well, during snow, we would still fall back to our snow, no parking on the street. So they would still have to try to get in the driveway like they do now. And if they don't, then they're going to get a ticket for overnight parking. So
Speaking of some of the residents who are having that problem now, Tom, is that, I'm sorry, Councilman Sears, is that they find parking in church parking lots. They ask for permission in commercial locations, and then they shuttle cars back and forth. That's two of the residents have articulated that that's what they do now.
During snow events.
Correct, because even outside the scope of getting permission, they knew that they couldn't receive permission those nights. And so they already had provisions in place to
So even
address
with a
that.
permit, they'd still have to be off the street.
Correct.
So-
that would be a
Absolutely.
caveat of the permit.
Okay. All right, can we,
Is this self-inflicted by us limiting it to 10 days? I mean,
No, this was an issue before, though.
I mean, if we didn't have that limit, if we let.
You have even more complaints.
With no restrictions comes more complaints.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the restrictions were put in to address the complaints.
yeah, because we have a neighbor that likes to just leave the car out like 24/7, 365 days more, Mr. Ullman, and never use their driveway. And then my neighbors come and complain to me, then I complain to the chief, I complain to the administrator. And if you gave them 30 days, they would then say, oh, I got to go 5 minutes, go log on to this.
That's the way it used to be. It used to be 3 days at a time, but unlimited.
So there are people that have cars that they work on sitting in their driveway. They may have 4 people, but they have 5 cars. Because
Yeah, that's not
somebody has a couple extra cars they like to work on.
But that would be different. We could make the ordinance whatever we so
Well,
chose.
how would it be different?
In terms of,
You would deny
What-
them because,
one thing we can do is verify the number of driver's licenses at that location. They would have to provide that. And I would agree with that. Because there's also another issue, and it's probably what you deal with, Mike. Some they can accommodate 4 cars, but it's in a single lane driveway.
Right.
And then in the morning, someone has to move cars and jockey cars around. So the convenience of parking in the street, they use it. And that's what led to abuses. I think more so than anything else was a convenience factor.
So they would get a similar placard like we're giving our emergency services.
Yeah, and hang it on there.
They would hang it. Correct.
Correct.
Whatever we chose.
Yeah, because we can make it that only one of those vehicles is the one that can be parked in the street. If
Yeah, that would
if
be a good idea.
Specific to the vehicle.
if it's left to discretion, I'd much rather see, a small Toyota sedan out in the street as opposed to a big pickup, just in terms of visibility and things like that. And if it's left to the police department's discretion, that's what we would request from the resident, and we would have control or oversight over that. So,
if I could just tell Dr. Cassio that he doesn't want to have our town turn into a fair lawn when they're all over the place, should we set a limit to how many we could distribute?
Oh, like
within the
maximum
town?
amount a year, like.
Yeah,
You could do it per household. You could say 2 per household max.
And remember, it has to be based on a criteria. It's not based on simple
Right.
discretion.
well,
If
Yeah,
the
because
fair,
you have residents,
I don't wanna
that have
have the
expanded their
township-
driveways for this issue and come
Yes.
and spent tens of thousands of dollars because they've come to the zoning board and widened their driveways with retaining walls, and that's why they came in front of us was, so you have those residents that have said, all right, I gotta park these vehicles somewhere, all right, I'm gonna spend the money and rebuild my driveway, rebuild the front of my house.
Correct.
The guy across the street from you, Tom,
Yeah.
so you have those people that have made it work, but they've spent, they've had to spend some money.
But this is for more of the people that don't have that space.
Correct.
They don't have that
Right.
permeable,
I just don't want to have town
Cars all
turn
over.
into a.
if you review the fair loan ordinance, it spells out the criteria, what constitutes a hardship. So,
All right, so can we take a look at it for the next meeting? We'll have a decision for the next meeting. Ms.
Yes.
Velez, you okay with that?
The other thing.
Yeah, the only comment I was going to make is, as life gets more expensive, a lot of the children are living at home a lot longer. So if you are a family
Yes.
with 3 kids or 4 kids, you're going to have a series of cars. So that would be my concern, if it's a ton of cars versus, just an extra 1 or 2. So kind of stuck in the middle on that, big family versus a smaller family, but the hardship is still there.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one, yeah. I want 3 parking permits because I have 5 kids now.
well, that's why, we'd have to decide, do you limit it to 1 or 2
All right.
per household?
All right, so everybody okay?
Just one comment. We talked about emergencies like snow and storms and whatnot, and not parking on the street. I hope, if you had a driveway or a house that has, let's say they have 2 spaces for 2 and they have 3 cars, in a situation like that, I hope we would allow them to park on the grass.
Yes.
Because I've done that with my car. I had an extra car.
For those emergencies, yes.
It's got to be off the street. I got to put it up on the grass. I know we have an ordinance that has to be on a not impervious surface, but it's some type of surface, clams or rocks or whatever, other than grass. I hope we would do something along those lines.
It's funny you bring that up because we have an ordinance against no parking on front lawn areas. That ordinance gives him permission to waive it for an emergency.
Okay, so.
Oh, that one says it's
But our
okay.
current.
Because that was
parking
written
ordinance doesn't.
lately.
Yeah.
So we need that caveat in the overnight parking
Right,
ordinance as
yeah,
well.
so I just-
So regardless of permits or no permits, we need that
Yeah,
part added
definitely.
into our overnight parking, so.
Okay.
And this would be strictly for residential, no commercial vehicles and nothing
Correct.
like that.
Correct.
All right. So we review it in the next, for the next meeting?
What are you looking to review?
Just if the council's okay with it or not okay with it. So we'll get to,
So not have
You
it
have more
introduced for the next
not
meeting?
introduced for the next meeting.
Just on the conference agenda?
Just on the conference agenda for, final discussion and a final decision so we can then approve an ordinance or not approve an ordinance, or not.
My objective was to start the dialogue.
I know you're working off of this one, but can you present exactly what you would like to see?
Absolutely.
And this way we can say yes, no, or what,
Yes.
modify it. 'Cause
That-
going off of-
I was hoping for that question, so
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
If you could draft it and give it to me and I'll put it in the packets?
I will do.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Are you splitting, so can people still ask for, my brother is sleeping over and he left his car overnight? You can still request that and be approved through the normal channels.
Yes.
This is over and above.
Correct. Exactly what you articulated is exactly how it works now. That's that up to 6 days permission. They can log into Frontline. It's not even a login. You just go to the site.
Yeah.
It's very self-explanatory. It works great. And that's exactly how it's working now.
These are only family members of the household.
Yeah, it would only be for those living in the house. Yeah. Yep.
Great, having those squatters come visit me for a month. Can't park.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is feasibility study ambulance services. Peter?
All set?
Yeah.
Okay.
Feasibility study ambulance services.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been working with the ambulance corps the past few months. Daytime membership, not just for them, but for many towns, is getting challenging. And it is a matter of public safety and response time. So I want to say about 6 weeks ago, Hillsdale hosted a meeting of all the surrounding towns because Hillsdale recently went to a paid daytime program where they have a couple of paid members on their payroll Monday through Friday, I believe 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's working out well, but it's quite expensive.
Yes.
And so they brought us all together to see if we would be interested in a study of the towns that were involved to see how we can cost benefit it amongst all the 4 towns. As opposed to them just going at it solo. They went at it to try the concept. It seems to work well, but we're hoping that, combining 4 towns, we can, maybe get economies of scale somehow. So after that meeting, I met with the senior members of our volunteer ambulance corps, and, they're in support of it. They said, there's no magic out there that's going to recruit people. Now you need over 200 hours of training to be an EMT. And, that's prohibitive for most people these days who want to just volunteer. Where do you get 200 hours from? So it limits the pool to either existing nurses or other people in the profession who had to get that type of training as part of their full-time paying job. So they authored the letter that was in the packet asking myself and the council to come up with the money to go in on the study with the other 3 towns. I don't see it here. I think the final number was 4,700, if I'm remembering correctly.
You mentioned,
$4,350.
4,300, okay.
43.
Yeah, and so, again, it's something they would like to do at this point. They feel that, we should go in on the study and not go at it ourselves. And they're hoping, like we found money to go in on the COA project for 10 grand, that we can also find this money with council approval to go in on this study for that amount.
I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm assuming, you mentioned Hillsdale, I'm assuming Westwood?
No, Westwood has a deal with Valley Hospital, I'm sorry, Pascack Valley
Yes.
Hospital.
So who were the 4 towns?
It was us, Hillsdale, Rivervale, and Old Tappan, right, Mark? Does that sound correct?
Yeah, it's in,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's in the hills. Yeah, it's
Hillsdale, Rivervale, and Alpena.
Right.
Yes.
It's in the ordinance, the resolution packet. Yeah, it's in the resolution packet.
It's in the packet.
I'm okay with the 4350.
Is that the total? And we have a.
That's our contribution.
Our contribution.
Our contribution. It's 17. It's $17,400 total split between the 4 towns. Our portion of it is $4,350. I'd make a motion to see if the administration can find the 4350 and move forward with this, because as part of the agenda tonight, I was going to ask the council to request the administration to do something similar to Hillsdale, because I know our daytime staffing is very, very light. I know what Hillsdale is spending is a lot of money, so maybe if we did it half the time Hillsdale does it on different times every day, like, 6 to 12 one day and then 12 to 6 another day.
Yeah.
And see if we can help the ambulance corps out with that for daytime coverage.
Yeah, because I think I'm right in saying this, Mike, that since Hillsdale is now currently footing that bill in total, they keep those paid people in town.
Yeah, there's no more
Right. And
mutual
so,
aid.
yeah, that's what we're looking to do, to see, all right, can we get more coverage with the same amount of people, and that's what the study will look at.
But I was just going to ask is if we could temporarily see if we can find some funding, either provide some kind of stipend, for, like a 6 to 12 shift, like Hillsdale's going 12 hours a day, right? They're going from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I was saying, like, on a Monday, I know we can't figure out when people are sick and need the ambulance, but at least give them 6 hours a day where we know that, hey, from 6 to 12 on Mondays, we're going to have paid people, then the following day be 12 to 6, and then just kind of switch it and see if that would help the ambulance corps out, somewhat for now, because I know Hillsdale's spending a lot of money right now for the 12-hour shift.
Yes, about 200,000 a year.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. And
are they just paying the staff cost, so they're using the
Correct.
volunteer equipment?
Yes, that's correct.
And they're using
Yeah, because it's their own employees. If they were using outside employees, then they would have been hesitant, because there might be finger pointing, who damaged the ambulance, supplies are missing. So it's employees of theirs, of the town.
Okay. And
so
clearly Hillsdale, I understand. I mean, Rivervale and Old Tappan, from a proximity, I guess, are we thinking, is the study an open book and they're just going to look at everything, or are they looking to do something? Because I don't understand how, a paid person in Old Tappan is, the response time to get.
Yeah, all this will be looked at, I believe, as part of the study, to say, all right, well, if you put an ambulance in this town, how quickly can it get to that town, and things like that.
One of the things, I know years ago I had asked about this, and it was, it wasn't viewed correctly, but I've always thought, if we give our DPW personnel a stipend to get their EMT, and, it's not forced, but we'll give them a stipend to become an EMT and become a volunteer fireman that could drive during the day, both an ambulance rig or because I know other towns do this. Like other towns, if you're a member of the DPW, part of becoming a member is that you need to be on, when you're being paid as a DPW worker, you're responding to fire calls and you're responding to ambulance calls, which I know it affects the DPW, absolutely, but it gives you coverage during the day.
Yeah,
because you have
public safety trumps
huge
DPW 99% of the cases.
So I asked, last time I was on council about this, and I know people didn't like the idea, but I'm still a big proponent of it. And we're not forcing, I'm not saying like, hey, you have to do it. But if you'd like to do it, we'll give you we come up with some kind of stipend, or maybe the study looks at it and says, hey, if you offer them X amount of dollars per year to, because getting your EMT certification is not easy. It's a process. Right. Becoming a fireman and being able to drive is another process. But having a person on staff during the days and during events that they're on call anyway, because we have a snowstorm, we have, things going on.
Recommendation, and then, we can choose to go our own way on certain things. We're not bound by anything of this study, but we think it's a good starting point.
Okay. I'm okay with seeing if the administration.
What towns do you know off the top of your head, just out of curiosity, what towns do that? I've never heard of that before.
Oh, I can get you the list.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I mean,
there's a bunch of towns in Upper Bergen County that do it. And it's just, when it makes it a lot easier because, a lot of towns have a lot of larger DPWs than we do. So a lot of them are town residents that work for the DPW. So it makes it even easier. But there's a few towns in Bergen that I know about that do it. So I can get that to you, Ms. Valesky.
Okay. Yeah, just like one or two, just for curiosity. And Mr. Mayor, how long is this study, projected to take?
They're hoping to start it in September and have initial results toward the end of October.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Peter, I don't know how much you talked about this service with Hillsdale, but my question is, does the company that they use charge insurance for their services that when they use it, or no?
Hillsdale?
Yes.
They're not using a company it's their own paid employees, paid EMTs.
Okay.
But they are charging it to the insurance company.
Are they charging it to offset?
They're not?
No.
But they were.
No, that was spoken about.
But they're not doing it?
Well, you need a minimum of 2 rigs to be able to bill for your services. They only have 1 rig right now.
So what if we went with, I guess, could the study look at, because Bergen County just bought 30 ambulances. I wonder why. Right? The county just bought 30 ambulances because they know what's going on. Right. So eventually we're going to have probably a county ambulance service for the entire county. But so is that something they're going to look at also, is what Bergen County can provide? And is there a way we can ask Bergen County now what it would cost if they, because I know like other towns pass that cost along to the insurance carriers. If they have insurance, they waive it if you don't have insurance.
Right.
So they don't want to give you a bill that you can't afford. But if you have insurance, and insurance companies pay this all the time because it's a known fact. So can we look at that temporarily just to see if we can help our ambulance corps out during the day?
I mean, the ambulance corps is happy with waiting for the study since it will be done in October. Okay. So I don't want to necessarily go down a parallel path where we're looking at things
but these are things the study's going to look at.
But they're very open-minded because they realize the issue. Okay. And so this is being done in total support.
Okay.
Of them.
But down at the league, they had a couple of those companies that were asking, and it seems to be very, very successful for everyone when it comes to providing that service, because when the ambulance company gets their services and they get paid, we get coverage, and the resident has the insurance. They're utilizing their insurance. Correct. If you don't have it, we don't balance bill you if you don't have the insurance. So that kind of works out very well for really everyone. So
all of those things are have been spoken about as part of the study.
No problem. Thank you.
Sure.
The next
and I'm sorry, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, we're asking the administration to constantly find money in a budget that was tight going in. So I just want the council to be aware of that at budget time, that sometimes a little extra should be left in some line items for flexibility.
If everybody's okay, I have the resolution in front of me to introduce this tonight, so this way we can get it going, because I don't want to hold this up since it's something, as long as the administration is comfortable finding the money for it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion to authorize resolution number 24-299, a resolution authorizing the award of a contract for a joint feasibility study regarding ambulance services. I'll make the motion. Anyone want to second it?
Second.
It's for a total of $17,400 to be divided equally amongst each of the 4 towns at a rate not to exceed $4,350 per town. The towns are the Borough of Hillsdale. All right.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Cassius.
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Omen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
She's muted.
thank you, and Council Penta.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Next on the agenda is future anticipated capital. Peter, you provided some sheets, version 5, it says, right?
Yes, version 5, because we use the annual as the starting point for this. So it's really version 1 of this 3-year one. But, you know, the numbers kind of speak for themselves. Happy to answer any questions about any project, but I don't think there's really anything new or unexpected on here. You know, we met with all the departments, and you know, these are their requests that they could think of for the next 3 years. So, you know, I know a lot of you were just over the weekend, perhaps.
Yes.
So not expecting any answers necessarily tonight, but it's a starting point.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just have one question on engine 43.
Yes.
So is that a rescue truck or is that a pumper?
I'm going to ask Councilman Sears to answer that.
It's a pumper.
And so I just saw Mawa, they were talking about putting a secondary truck in place while something went out for repairs that's 30-something years old. And the truck that's going out for repairs is 20-something years old. I guess I'm just wondering, how old is this truck? And, you know, are we looking at the full life? Or are we anticipating the full life of the item?
Tom, I know per se you're not supposed to speak on fire department matters, but I don't even know the age of this engine.
87.
Okay.
It's within that range that we usually come up to replace. The tower ladder was over 30 years old, the old tower ladder. So we definitely got our money's worth on that truck. And 43 is
87.
yeah, it's getting up there, not mileage wise, but the engine, the pumper, you know.
It's old.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Under council ordinances and legislation, lighting ordinance, Mr. Cassio?
Yeah, I had, again, some residents are complaining about light coming in from neighbors. Lights obviously at night, coming into their property and disrupting their sleep patterns and whatnot. We talked about this a while ago, a couple councils ago. So I'm just bringing it up again. Is there any appetite to do something with this? Because we know it's something that's really difficult to, 1, come up with a good ordinance, 2, to enforce, and 3, again, it doesn't seem like there was ever any appetite for it. So I bring it to the council's attention again tonight. What do you think?
I know that the code official has stated the state ordinance. He has gone to a couple of residents and he has quoted the state ordinance that directs lighting and indirect lighting.
Can he provide that to Mrs. Bailey so she could look at it and maybe possibly create a township one?
Sure.
Yeah, this one's from Ultapan.
This is Ultapan.
Oh, you have an Ultapan in
You know, this is the one that's in the packet. Oh, there's a couple of them too.
Yeah.
One from Ultapan, one's from Cresco.
Right.
Which is, and they're very general.
But they seem too loose to.
Well, we had one from Hackensack too, a couple of years ago. There was Little Ferry.
What's your experience with these
Well,
Council.
There's two different models here, two
Okay.
that are expressed in the Cresthill Master Plan. And that's more of a discretionary, I know it when I see it type of violation with the code official. The other, the Saddle River ordinance has more concrete standards in it. Using my prosecutor's hat, I like that. They're easy to enforce, they're clear when there's a dispute between residents. But then there's some times where you have that discretionary call that you'd like to make. So if it were me, I would use the Saddle River model as a start and maybe incorporate 160-2 or whatever the provision is that says, or in the event that, in the discretion of the code official, there is an annoyance, or whatever the language is, that is an alternative. Maybe marry these two together.
Is that something you can marry together and give us a version in the next couple?
Mr. Mayor, can we allow the attorney to do that?
Absolutely.
All right.
If you wouldn't mind, that would be great. And this way, at least we can address it. And if it goes through, it doesn't go through, it doesn't. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Proposed planning board ordinances, Mr. Sabino is here. They did a great presentation. I'm glad we're finally amending these ordinances. They're very overdue and something that needs to be done. Chapter 233, fire prevention, amend the fees. Mr. DiRenzo asked us to look at these. Does anybody have any objections to the new fees he's proposing?
No.
Do we know what they want?
No, they're in line.
They're on shown on the backup, Mr. Almond.
They are.
There's two sheets, right?
Yes, okay.
And this is for all residential.
Yes,
buildings?
and business.
Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, I think these are to come up to the state suggested fees.
DCA recommended fees.
Yeah. But Mr. Almond asked what the old fees were. It's in our packet. So anybody have any objection to prepare a resolutions for the next meeting, changing the, if everybody's okay, we can do it tonight. I have it here. It's ordinance 24-301.
Wow.
You need a motion?
I would need,
I'm sorry.
go ahead, Ms. Velez.
The only changes is in the late fee? Is that what I'm noticing?
No, the annual fee goes up also.
I don't think so.
No? I thought the annual
It's
fee.
100, 106.
It's just the late
I
fee.
mean, I don't see a big difference except for the late fee
That's
of a $50 increase.
correct.
Well, that's all it was? Okay. I thought there was more to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. I mean, if this is what.
This
he's
is the
recommending.
fire department's, the fire
Yeah.
official's recommendation, correct, Mr. Mayor?
I'm just saying it's not a big,
Yeah, this is fire prevention.
Yeah, like I said,
recommendation,
it's
so
within,
It's within DCA's guidelines and it's his recommendation. Everybody okay with it?
yes.
The permit fee has gone up quite a bit.
Yeah, I knew one of them was higher.
I don't know,
$10 for type 1, yeah.
like type 4 went from 500 to 640.
Yeah. Do we know what the formula for these numbers are, or where they?
They're
grab
the
formula
state, they're from the state DCA, Division of Community Affairs. Do I have a motion to pass ordinance 24, introduce first reading ordinance number 24-13, an ordinance amending fee ordinance, chapter 212-11, entitled chapter 233, fire prevention. Motion to introduce and pass ordinance number 24-13 at first reading by title.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Abstain. It affects me.
Oh, okay.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
And Council President DeSena.
Yes. Resolution number 24-301, authorize publication of ordinance number 24-13 and schedule a public hearing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, I'll second it. Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Abstain.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSenza.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Ordinance 24-09, County Road, Ridgewood Road from the Washington Township Fire Department. I guess in the ordinance, it was left off that Ridgewood Road is a county road for the overnight parking list.
It was also
For the first responders,
For
and
the
we
first
want,
responders, yes, correct.
and we want to make it all county roads.
All county roads.
All
yes.
county roads.
So is everybody okay with amending that 24-09 ordinance to make it all county roads, including Linwood, from Ridgewood Road to the Pascack Township line?
Do you want to specifically put the roads in there?
No, we want to just make it all
roads.
county roads. This way it makes it easier. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
We named the roads, and we didn't name that a couple of them were county roads. So in order to make it correct, we just wanted to say all county roads.
I would assume most people know if they live on a county road, but maybe you want to say all county roads, not limited to, but including certain ones. But
I don't know if the portion of Ridgewood Road that goes north to south is a county road.
Well, it was explained
Because-
to me from the from Pascack Road to the township border.
Yeah, that's what it says here.
Specifically.
Yeah.
That's what I was explained tonight before the meeting. If that makes a difference.
But then they asked me to just do all county roads. So which one? should we
Just
do?
do all county roads.
All county roads.
Yeah.
All county roads.
So that solves the problem.
Don't name it, generalize it.
All right, we'll check it out and see if we can amend it or we have to reintroduce it. Okay, so we'll reintroduce that to next. All right, we'll have to reintroduce it to next one. All right. On-street parking, you already discussed, right, Mr. Cassio? We're taking that off.
Yes.
Miscellaneous zoning board, we still have not had any applicants for the zoning board, so I know the link wasn't working, it's been corrected. So please apply to become a zoning board member. It's a civic duty that will bring you a lot of
Joy.
joy. That's a good way to put it.
Did we not get a application, or it wasn't completed
That's
from?
not submitted.
It was not, no, the link wasn't working, it was corrected, so.
Immediately, so it was up and running for at least 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I guess,
so-
before it was done.
Didn't we get a email
Yeah.
from
No,
a resident that said they had an expression of interest?
right, but that was never submitted.
They didn't submit.
Did not submit. No.
Were they told they had to submit it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I just asking.
Traffic issues on Mountain Avenue and Colonial Boulevard. I know Mr. DiCarlo, and it was, after we got the email, I had forwarded to Mr. DiCarlo. The mayor immediately got the police chief involved. I don't know if any new speed limit signs were put up as requested. I haven't been able to drive down Mountain since we got that request, so I don't know what happened on Mountain, but we really need to look at the speeding on Mountain Avenue and Colonial Boulevard.
And Beach.
And Beach. Beach is very, very,
Any fire cut through.
any of the cut through,
it's
they're
an
full
issue.
cut through streets, and it's becoming an issue. So I know it's typically the residents that are speeding. Unfortunately, that's what ends up happening when we try to enforce this. So if we can just keep putting the speed monitor signs out there, Mr. Mayor, and maybe ask, I know like Beach has no speed limit signs on it, but we should all know it's 25 miles per hour, but.
a reminder doesn't
A
hurt.
reminder doesn't help. It doesn't hurt, excuse me. Authorized RFQs received for the township auditor. We received 3 RFQs, excuse me, 2. No, 3.
2.
Who's this one?
No, that's a reference.
Okay, okay, sorry. So we got one from Lurch, Vinci, and Bliss, and one from Mai and Associates. I hope everybody was able to look at them. Anybody have any questions on them? So if we could take a straw poll so we can advise the township attorney which way to proceed with the resolution for the next meeting.
I would recommend,
Okay,
No. What do you want to do?
yeah. I have two resolutions here, one for each one of them. So whichever one we want to,
If you
after we do a
decide
straw
tonight.
poll, if we decide tonight, we can appoint them tonight. So,
I would.
I mean, I think
vote for a
Mark
little high.
Vinsky has, I'm sorry, Mr. Owen.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Lurch Vinci, they've been with us for quite some time. They're doing a fantastic job. They know our business. I don't know why we keep going back and forth with this. There's no issues. So my opinion is Lurch Vinci.
Thank you, Ms. Foss. Mr. Altman, you were about to,
I was going to suggest Mr. Mai.
Mr. Sears?
I am going to stay with Large Fincy.
Mr. Casio?
I'll make a motion for Mr. Nye.
I'll second that motion. So you said you have both resolutions here.
Yep.
Here.
You did your motion by Councilman Casio, second by Council President DeSena, and now we'll just set a roll call.
Yeah. Roll call. So motion to introduce resolution number 24-300 for the Township Auditor of Lou Meyer and Associates. Roll call.
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
No.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
No.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Commuter parking lot commuter parking lot update. Ms. Witkowski?
It was just, there was a comment or question, I should say, mentioned last time around about how many parking spaces we had done since we had opened it up, and I believe Phyllis has got 8 people on it as of right now.
And how many do we have available? Do we find out?
What did we say, 32, I think?
Sounds correct.
Something like that, I think it's 32.
Low 30s.
Oh,
And
yeah.
only native line.
Yeah,
So far, we only have 8. She gave us the list of who applied.
Wow.
yeah. So we keep, you keep doing a PSA on it, it's on the website. I mean, people have changed since COVID, their jobs, their commitments, their.
Yeah, I'm just surprised
I know.
that I would think maybe,
Before.
25 or something like that, but if 8 out of 30 some odd is really,
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring that to your attention, just.
Zoom's making a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah,
Resolution, we're going to go into closed session and we will not be coming out of closed session. So resolution number 24-298, use acquisition of property, 450 Pascack Road. Motion to enter into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
We need 5 minutes for Ricky to come down and turn off.